It all starts on a good day. The guy has a birthday. He was 18 years old. The sister congratulated her brother on the holiday, and his father asked what desire he made. But the birthday person did not talk about the mystery, so that the desire would probably come true. Hugging her brother, she asked not to incite her curiosity. The father considered it correct that the son did not tell his secrets, since he is an 18-year-old man, but he decided to tell his sister, since she wants to know so much. He hopes that he and his family can always be together, but luck soon turned away from them. There was a disaster, many explosions. Parents of the kid flew down from a huge high-rise building right into the fire. The main character of this plot began to scream when he saw what happened to his loved ones. It's good that it all turned out to be a dream. The boy was in the lesson. He suddenly fell asleep. Xiao Hao called the teacher. He decided that his history lessons were too tiring, so his student fell asleep. Or he knows the material too well. In this case, he asked him to tell everyone what the era of the Earth OL is. Shi Hao apologized to the teacher, and he explained that last night he studied until late at night, so accidentally fell asleep. The student wanted to start telling about the era of the OL land, but the teacher interrupted him and asked not to continue, but to go to the end of the class and listen to him carefully. He almost forgot that this little is actually an excellent student. But he would have begun to show off. Fortunately, the teacher considered himself quite resourceful. He explained that students should be carefully recorded, since all this will be in matters on the exam. The teacher began to tell what is called the era of the Earth OL. 2036 years, the sudden spatio-temporal chaos turned the entire planet into the game world. This world was full of dangers and opportunities. Young generations call this time the era of the Earth OL. They lived in it. Despite the emerging mighty monsters, humanity also has something to imagine. After the first years, the catastrophe, 5 clans suppressed monsters and also established a new world order. Shi Hao thought it was true. In this complete dangers and secrets of the era, each person spares his strength to raise his level. After classes, the boy left school. He was hazed by the guys who followed him. He asked Luo Feng what he wanted. Luo Feng laughed back and decided that he was pretending to be a fool. It's time to give money for his defense this month. Shi Hao told him that 2 years ago a senior student forced him to pay him for protection. But now he, like his older brother, is protecting him. However, now he demands money from him for his protection. Of course, he was blind. He used to think that the one who had just entered school immediately received the 3rd level, has great talent. But he could not imagine that over the past 2 years, he had reached the 5th from the 1st level, and he was still in the 3rd. Luo Feng pressed the boy with his head to the ground and called him a discharge. Suddenly, a girl appeared who came to defense of her brother. She hit Luo Feng with her foot and asked him to remove his hands from his brother. It was Shi Yunfei. Despite the fact that she is only 16 years old, she is already at the 7th level. The guys heard that she defeated a 10th level monster. They decided, it is better to leave. In the end, they again called Shi Hao as a garbage, which can only be hiding behind a female back, and they asked him not to catch their eyes. Shi Yunfei began to reassure her brother. She asked him not to listen to nonsense. Despite the fact that he is only the 3rd level, he will undoubtedly be able to become the coolest warrior. Shi Hao stroked his sister on the head, soothing her. He explained that her brother does not recognize his defeat so easily. They decided to return home soon. To himself, the boy thought that he was no doubt able to pump a discharge. He investigated the materials from the disaster to the present. There have never been similar cases so that a person could not increase the level. Is he really the only leash of the Earth OL? He definitely cannot admit his defeat. The guy's family congratulated him on his birthday. He decided that he still needed to defend his family, protect their well-being. He must become strong. Shi Hao thought his birthday was now a critical moment. Why so at the wrong time? He remembered that nightmare. The boy invited parents to eat fried fish in Liaolitu. He really wanted to go there now. Mother did not want all the prepared food to disappear, but the father exclaimed that these dishes would wait. Today they celebrate the birthday of his son. His word should be decisive. Leaving the restaurant, Shi Hao noticed that nothing special had happened. It seems that he was too worried. But suddenly everything was lit up with a bright purple light. Is it a crack in space? It is necessary to hide from the monster. Passers-by shouted that it was necessary to run. It was worth calling a defensive detachment. They could not understand how a monster could appear in the security zone. The guys decided to run rather. If it looks at them, then you can die right away. The monster, in the form of a huge spider, began to drive them into a trap. Shihao stood aside with his family, and the spider approached them faster and faster. Father rushed towards the danger and asked his son to take care of his mother. The boy decided that even if he had only a 10th level, but he would not allow harm to his family. Even if you have to sacrifice life, he will at least delay it for a while. Spider began to let his weapon on a man and thought that he was a weakness. All people are insignificant by nature. The sting of the spider pierced the man's leg. Mother asked Hao to take her sister with her and rather leave. The monster pushed the woman, as she interfered with him. He promised to eat her later. He felt a pleasant smell, and I decided that the 10th level should be good in taste. Shi Yunfei took out her bow with arrows, and calling the monster a freak, exclaimed that if he was afraid to attack, she would do this. The spider realized that the girl dares to provoke him. She asked her brother to take her dad and mother, and said that she would try to detain him. Shihao noticed that the nightmare really comes true. He frantically thought what to do. He has only the 3rd level, and this is still a monster of the 15th level. But the monster felt despair, which is absolutely logical in the face of such a power. He pierced the girl with his claw, and he whispered that she would become his food. The taste of a human girl should be delightful. Shi Yunfei could not move. The next sting of the spider was already striving in her direction. But suddenly her brother appeared in front of the girl. He caught his hands with a spider's claw and asked his sister to run rather. He will not be able to hold the spider for a long time. The monster pierced the boy with his sharp sting. Shi Yunfei began to call her brother, but he asked her to leave him, and rather leave. If he was only strong enough, none of this would have happened. Why cannot he increase the level? The boy thought with annoyance that he was so weak. But I did not want to give up in any case. The spider noticed that the guy was already at the last gasp. The insignificant 3-level discharge still dared to resist him. The monster felt sorry that he did not even want to eat him. The accumulated experience of the carrier has already reached the norm. The functionality of the overlord account is activated. Since the carrier has lost its combat effectiveness, the system launches the overlord account. The system selected the account of the Red Flame Emperor. The spider noticed that the girl was going to escape and decided to end her rather. Shi Yunfei realized that his brother was sacrificing himself to win them for a couple of seconds. The girl ran towards the spider. She decided that she could no longer run away. So even if she died, at least a revenge on her brother. Shihao suddenly revived to stand on his feet. The monster decided that this was impossible. The insignificant 3-level garbage dared to challenge him. He began to approach the guy. Shihao decided to use the Blade of Shadow of Fire and began to activate it. Spider was very surprised, because the guy was definitely at the 3rd level. Where did he get such power? The guy had the feeling that the body would be exploding now. This force has already exhausted it to the limit. Spider decided that it was his short moment of glory. He is a weak little man. Her body of the 3rd level will tear from such a load. He doesn't even need to do anything. He will soon die. Shihao noticed that he really had almost no health. Now it all depends on this golden scale of energy. You can't use everything before the end of the battle with this reptile, or inevitable death awaits it. The monster exclaimed that the guy was wasted. I didn't even want to taste it. It was not easy for Mr. Chi and the show to open the portal into a safe zone. He needed to absorb high level as soon as possible, and the boy will still die at such a pace. But turning to Xiao Hao, the monster could not understand this look and the overwhelming aura, as this could be with a 3-level one. Meanwhile, a rescue detachment has already arrived. They gave the command to look for the wounded and begin to provide assistance. Rescuers discovered a 15th monster. It was a clairvoyant demonic spider. It is subject to immediate destruction. Shihao asked the guys to wait because he would kill them, but rescuers noticed that it was he who was now at death. He should not rely too much on a beautiful skin, bought at the 3rd level. Even if it surpasses them in level, they have a numerical advantage, so that you should not worry. In addition, he has only 30% of health, but the monster did not think so. He began to wrap the rescuers with his sticky web. The spider laughed and whispered that these people even begin to like him. He did not know that it was so beautiful to tear off the heads of their heads. Then he promised to kill them all and gain experience for this. Spider monster has increased +3 levels. He raised as many as 3 levels, which was just wonderful for him. The monster began to approach Xiao. It was his turn to die. After all, with such force, a completely different matter. It is very difficult to raise the level to the monsters, unlike people. In the end, in a distant wilderness, it is almost impossible to meet a person with a level lower than that of Shihao. However, it is only worth raising the level. Then they immediately become much stronger. The power of the boy has increased many times. His energy is almost running out. The monster laughed. Wasn't the guy just strongly strong? And now he does not even have the strength to raise his hand. The system said that the energy and health of the owner is below 10%. The achievement capacity of the Hurricane Red Flame is ready. The system asked if he wanted to apply it. Since the boy could not increase the level, countless people mocked him. Shihao exclaimed that today they would see that their so-called garbage eventually is much stronger. The guy began to use a hurricane of red flame. The monster noticed that it was an unusual fire. It consists of divine energy. What kind of person is this guy? With dying, the spider exclaimed that Mr. Qiansho would not spare him in any case. The system notified that the clairvoyant demonic spider is defeated. The gained experience is 20,000. Thus, the boy survived. However, you need to collect a drop from this spider as soon as possible. The system gave the kid a lot of privileges. Since the owner has received serious damage, 10,000 experience points are automatically used to recover. After healing of the Russian Academy of Sciences, health indicators are updated to 100%. Shihao realized that he was in the user's interface. But this is more like a Milky Way. It is completely different from its meager visual interface. The stitch of the world, how the world has changed. Each player has its own visual interface, which is used to view and distribute attributes, as well as access to the inventory. The guy saw a source of his strength in front of him. The system explained that this is the Emperor of the Red Flame, the maximum level. The owners of the Overlord account system greeted. The system contains countless royal player accounts of the maximum level. The owner can use personal experience to gradually unlock all accounts of the Overlords. Since the owner's level reached the 10th, the account of the Emperor of the Red Flame was activated. Despite the fact that the initial level of the Emperor of the Red Flame reached maximum, but the owner still needs to accumulate experience, increasing the relationship between accounts. The stronger the connection, the more the power of the accounts will be revealed. The owner is recommended to get more experience as soon as possible. Shihao thought that he needed to understand what the best way to use the system. The Emperor of Red Flame came from the strongest in another world, once headed his clan and used the power of Red Flame to combine the territories under his beginning. So he became famous throughout the world. Shihao determined the first point in the plan. Accumulate experience and unlock as many accounts as possible, then form a detachment with all possible attributes. Thus, he will not have flaws in any attribute. The affordable experience is 10,000. It can choose to strengthen the level of levels or unlock additional ability. Shihao chose to strengthen the level of levels. Now it is most important to increase your viability and unlock more accounts, abilities, and others. It will then deal with the relationship of account levels +2, the current combined level of 12. The boy felt the increased power of each cell of his body. Has his personal main attribute also intensified? He decided to open the panel of characteristics. Shihao was surprised how he could still be the 3rd level. This is a maximum of his true forces. He heard a conversation that said why there was so much money. The boy realized that this was a familiar voice. He woke up in the hospital and noticed that not only the health scale, but his wounds also healed. However, when he recalls that it took 10,000 points of experience, he immediately becomes bad. Feifei told the doctor that he should be mistaken. How the price for treatment can be so high. She was asked not to get excited, because the wounds had not yet been completely healed. Shihao smiled and was delighted that his sister was in order. But after listening to her voice, he could not understand what was wrong with her condition. Shi Yunfei told the doctor that even if his hospital used high-level treatment, it still does not cost 500,000. The doctor interrupted the girl, explaining that she does not understand what condition she is now. All 4 members of her families were under the debuff of the elite toxicity of a rare monster in order to heal to the end. You need to drink special medicinal potions. In addition to her, there are 2 more men who are less lucky. If he does not take medicine, her father may not stretch for a month, and the brother of the weak. Mother asked the girl not to worry. She will solve the issue of money. In extreme cases, they can sell the house. The doctor asked the woman not to be nervous, as she was still too weak. Then, Xiao Hao appeared. He said that the parents worked in the sweat of their faces for most of their lives. To earn it, under no circumstances, they cannot sell the house. He promised to find money for treatment. Shi Yunfei asked his brother why he got out of bed. The boy replied that everything was fine with him. She should not talk so much so as not to aggravate her condition. The doctor exclaimed that among 4 family members, his poisoning and wounds were the most serious. He was very surprised how the boy was able to heal on his own. Shihao replied that the reason is not important. The main thing is that he does not need further treatment. If you exclude it, how much in this case 3 people will be required? The doctor said that 300,000 would be enough. Officially, the guy has a 3rd level, but the regeneration rate is higher than that of his patient with a level of 60. Shihao asked the doctor to start treatment. He promised to collect 300,000 in an hour. The doctor did not believe that this is possible, but as a doctor he is ready to give him this time. The boy thought that although he was used to saving, but even if he adds to the money received for the murder of a clairvoyant demonic spider to his savings, then there will be no 300,000 in total. The fastest way to get money is to sell things from the inventory. This is a rare demonic crystal of the 15th level. The guy hoped to help out good money for him, if it goes to the official auction, although it sells at the full price, but will not meet the hour. In addition, there is a minimum level of the level of participants, and its 3rd level will definitely not be enough. Therefore, the boy decided that now there is only one option. They say that in the underground of the 9th safe zone, there is a black market where you can trade, despite the level. In the black market, several powerful groups are speculated by prices, and even there, full of doubtful personalities. Previously, he would never have stowed there alone, but now he is not afraid. He was stopped by some healthy guys. One of them said that this was not a place for children's games, and asked him to leave where he came from. He knows what kind of place it is, and still wants to go there. Shihao replied that of course he knew that he would come to the black market not to have fun. He explained that he wanted to sell things. Whether this place is famous for the fact that everyone can trade freely here. A man with a cigarette in his teeth laughed and said that they did not accept children's toys here. The boy replied that since he dared to come here, his goods were good enough. He asked him to miss him, because he was in a hurry. The guy asked what kind of goods a little boy could have good. He explained that they did not have time to play with him. Some old man entered the room. He said that they are engaged in business here in order to gain benefit. Of course they need good goods. But all people can trade freely here. It was their elder Lee. He said that he did not know what this boy wants to sell, but he can get it and show it to the old man. Shihao exclaimed that he had finally met a man, was ready for cooperation. Then he took out a brilliant stone from his pocket. He asked if this stone could please his gaze. The old man was very surprised at a rare demonic crystal. He suspended his people, and he said that he could not think that such a thing could be from their 3-level friend. The elder suggested discussing the deal and asked to let the guy let go. They headed for the black market. Shihao thought that he had represented him completely differently, more like a nightclub, since there were half-dressed girls. It seems that the local owner is very smart, because if you give customers to get drunk, they will spend money more willingly. One of the men said that this boy came here to buy snacks for the proceeds. He asked him to return home to his mother and let his uncle see what kind of treasure he has. One of the men pushed the guy and explained that this was a guest of Lee Elder. How they dare to bother, are they really tired of living? The guy told them in the back that they rely on the fact that they belong to the group of Huanjing, and they create that they want. Then they called Lee the Elder. The man was asked to shut up. The guys brought Shi Chaos to the VIP room of the group of Huanzheng. The old man asked him to sit down. Then he asked me to lower unnecessary formalities and go right to business. The elder explained that although his demonic crystal is very valuable, he is only the 15th level. Shihao interrupted him and asked why he immediately began to shoot down the price. Once they agreed to conduct a business conversation, he asks for less crawling. Although he has a 3rd level, he is not 3 years old. He can understand what things are worth nothing and asked to name the price rather. The old man noticed that although this young man has a low level, the character is not weak. If the usual demonic crystal costs several thousand, it can pay 100,000 for it. Shihao exclaimed that the truth was told that all businessmen are cunning. Even if we take into account that the price of the black market will be lower than at the auction, its crystal costs at least 200,000, and he offers only 100. He apologized and said that he would better look for the one who would offer more. The old man said that there was a misunderstanding. Here, he does not decide whether there will be a deal or not. In addition, there has never been the one who would interfere with the Huanzhen clan to get the desired. The boy decided that they were going to rob him. Everything can happen in this black market. If he takes advantage of the account of the Emperor of the Red Flame, he will be able to get out. But even if it gets out, it is not profitable to provoke riots for him. He will not get a penny. This will only postpone the treatment of sister and parents. Lee exclaimed that 100,000. A huge amount for a child like him. He asked to listen to the old man, take money and fail. Shi Hao realized that he was left only to come to terms. I would never have thought that he would face a similar insoluble problem that rests into force. The majestic clan Huanzheng deceives his 3-level friend. That's really a shame. Then some girl appeared and said that she had heard as if there was a good product. She asked for permission to join the fun. It was the beauty of the Moscow region. The old man realized that this was the eldest daughter of the Han Mo clan. And he asked for what purpose she came to such a dubious place. Is it really to compete with the old man? The girl asked not to speak like that. The opportunity to trade freely, the right of the highest price, these are the laws of the black market. He is much older and wiser than her, so that he should know them much better. The boy thought that he had already heard this name somewhere. Mo went up to him and said that he was an attractive young man. Such a rare demonic crystal is very interesting. She promised to pay 300,000 for him and asked to sell it to her. The old man was very surprised, and he exclaimed that this boy had just said 200,000, and she already offers 300. Why is she doing this? The girl explained that the rich have her own quirks. Yes, and she will not want to renew the boy of the 3rd level. It is better to spend 100,000 on restoring the spoiled reputation of the Huanzheng clan. It seems to her that this thing is worth its money. She wished the elder of a good road, and she asked when the next time they would find something good, do not forget to call her. Earlier, Shi Hao heard that the 2 largest groups of the 9th safe zone, Han Mo and Huanzheng, did not get along. But I did not think that he would meet with them today and even benefit from this situation. The boy thanked the girl, and he said that he has several more things that may interest her. Mo replied that she was not interested and asked not to thank her. She just took the opportunity to put Huanzhan in place. His affairs have nothing to do with her. He just accidentally caught my eye. She asked her servants to give the boy money. As for the demonic crystal, if they do not find use, they can simply be thrown away. The boy laughed to herself. He realized that this was the eldest daughter Han Motsunder. In any case, he will remember the service provided. Meanwhile, the mother of Shi Hao asked the doctor how long to be treated to her husband. The doctor replied that now his condition is still bad. Then a man flew into the ward and asked whether it was true that these beggars did not pay for medical bills. And why are they still here? The doctor answered the director that they had already paid for the provision of primary assistance. The director took him by the breasts and asked what he was doing. They have a hospital here, not a shelter. Their lives are not as dear as his medicines. The doctor explained that the boy from their family said that he would get money. Could he wait a little more? The director gave a slap in the face to the doctor and exclaimed that he had a sawdust in his head. This boy has a 3rd level, and even he is a child, where in his opinion he will take 300,000. The director exclaimed that they have few such dietary supplements. Even if Shi Yunfei will sell her parents, she will not have enough money. The girl asked the director to wait a little longer. Her brother went for money and will return soon, but the man began to push her away. He said that this is the only hospital in this safe zone. Rogue like them cannot spend all their reserves. He asked if there was no money to immediately go home. Then Xiao broke into the door. He asked to remove his hand from his sister. The director grabbed the guy by the chest and asked who he was, and how dares to knock out the door of the hospital with a foot. He must now compensate him for the damage. The boy's eyes sparkled. He exclaimed that the director had just hit his family member with this hand. The director began to scream by grabbing his hand. His hand was burning. He began to look for a fire extinguisher and ask for help rather. The doctor asked the guy what he did with the director, how his hand could so suddenly light up. Shi Hao replied that although he has every right to expel them from the hospital, he hit his sister, and he would not forgive this. The boy promised to pay 10,000 for medical expenses. If he has the same good doctor as he, then there is nothing to worry about in this case. The doctor realized that the director deserved it. Since he is Shuren of the chairman, in full use of his position, most employees hate him. Today he was finally repulsed. Maybe in the future he will not dare to behave like that. Shi Hao handed over to the doctor 310,000 and asked to continue the treatment of his family. The doctor asked the guy not to worry. The accounts in their hospital are not just so high. His family will receive the best treatment. The boy thanked the doctor for believed him and gave time to raise money. He is now in debt in front of him. The doctor asked not to thank him, since this is his duty. He thought that the guy not only healed on his own, but was also able to collect 300,000. This is a very curious young man. Shi Yunfei apologized to her brother and said that she could not protect her father if she had not been as weak as now. Shi Hao asked his sister not to blame herself. It was he who came too late and therefore she suffered. but now everything is fine. The girl explained that if not for this debuff, she could have participated in the dungeon at school tomorrow at school. She wanted to win. The boy took her by the shoulders and exclaimed that they were given a decent amount for victory. Replied that this amount would start from 500,000. She was preparing for this for a whole year. Brother smiling told her sister that she could calmly continue treatment. All financial issues are all on it. He was going to get this prize. And the next day came. Before us is the school building. Students greeted at the annual school festival of quests. It must have been among them for a long time rumors about the size of a cash prize. This year the prize starts from 500,000. Depending on the degree of progress in the dungeon, money from above can be added to this amount. There is no limit to adding. The leader of the festival decided to explain why this year such a large prize. All because this year the event is sponsored by the Hanmo clan. The daughter of the clan company appeared in the hall. Everyone exclaimed that her beauty is blinding. They just look at her and their hearts melt. The old man exclaimed that in addition there is another good news. The winner of the competition will receive a chance to join the Hanmo combat detachment. The Hanmo combat detachment includes 10 in progress in the dungeons. The guy from the crowd exclaimed that this stimulates better than a cash prize. Getting into the Hanmo combat detachment is how to reach a career peak. Shihao heard that the competition between the detachments of various guilds is great, but she was going to take away talented fighters with school children and is not too much in a hurry. The boy decided that this did not apply to him. He is interested in the monetary prize. This year, the dungeon is a shadow forest, institute of such a high level. In addition, they say that not a single student has passed it to the end. In the dungeon, the lowest level of the monsters is 5th, and the final boss is an elite creature of the 10th level. They all have about the 5th level. To go there the same as docking yourself for sure death. This is a really elite monster of the 10th level. How the school can give them to him to eat. Shihao was surprised to hear about the elite shadow of the 10th level. Are they sure that they do not just give him money? The head asked to calm down. This insti is really quite complicated. Also it is a PvE and PvP zone. Therefore, based on these reasons, this time they can combine up to 5 people. The guys decided in this case simply to join the team more strong. Once you can unite, then it will not be so difficult to kill an elite shadow village of the 10th level. But then, will not the brawl for the murder of the boss. You will still have to constantly fear a blow to the back. Shihao thought it was an opportunity to unite in groups and a system of 2 modes in Institute. The school wants to give them real experience of survival and battles. One of the guys asked the director how to determine individual progress if they are combined into groups. The director replied that during the competition they accumulate glasses on their own, and points for the murder of the Shadow Ancient will be divided between members of the group. The team which received the maximum number of points for its murder will share first place. Esley will win another team in PvP, their points will go to them. The guys decided that it was too cruel. Do they not encourage them with this statement to fight against each other? The director, without answering this question, raised his hands up and proclaimed the competition. The participants exclaimed that they needed double D 5th levels. One of them said that he knows a senior student, which can be joined. We need 5th level Chilla. The guys were surprised why garbage of the 3rd level was still here. The second replied that this garbage has not yet been expelled, because they were left so that he would clean the toilets. They were frightened that he would ask for their team. Shihao thought that if they begged him, he would not have joined their group. He does not need extra ballast. Acting alone will be most convenient. The guy went to the teacher and said that he wants to sign up. The girl asked what about his team members. Shihao replied that he would pass alone and asked him to record it. The teacher noticed that he has only the 3rd level. It is very dangerous for him to go alone. She asked him to think carefully. One of the guys asked to score on him, let him die if he wanted. Garbage of the 3rd level will spend the air in vain. It was again Luofeng. The guys did not like that he was saying so with their older brother. They asked him to allow him to teach a lesson to this garbage. Luofeng asked them to wait. He was, after all, his older brother in quotes. You can't handle it like that. He explained Xiaohao that the boy should stand on all 4s and grate a couple of times. Then he would be so to take him with him in the dungeon. Shihao asked in response to how dogs bark. The guy immediately answered him. Then he became very angry and began to attack him. A teacher got between them. She explained that if they want to fight, then let them go to the dungeon and fight there. And here there is nothing to dissolve your hands. Luofeng finally advised the guy to gain courage so as not to escape. He threatened to wait for him in the dungeon to test his moral qualities. Shihao answered them that he did not know such a word to run. The girl asked him not to speak like that. Shihao again asked the teacher to record him. She replied that although his courage was boasted, the final result still depends mainly on his strength. Since he is so torn, she can only wish him good luck. Xiaohao Brave walked forward and thought that the most interesting thing was now beginning. He entered the dungeon for the first time and got the experience of 2,000. The kid was noticed by two guys led by Mo. They remembered that yesterday we met in the black market in the evening with this guy. Mo decided that he was interesting, just the 3rd level, and not just dared to come to the black market, and he was eager to clean up the instance. She decided to see what he had besides courage. Her comrade asked if Miss would think that he could successfully go through such a dungeon. The girl replied that they should wait a bit and enjoy the show. Shihao thought that the appearance at the random point of the dungeon, they did so that the team would not arrange a massacre right away. This is only in his hands. At first, as soon as possible, the boy decided to clean the nearest area from small mobs, and now 10 points began to be added to his experience, with every step. The area of the dungeon is too large, also the monsters are dispersed. To kill small mobs for too long. To win the competition, you need to track down high level. Shihao wondered where they were going. He decided to follow them. Then he went deep enough into the forest. He began to peer forward at a huge, thick tree. A sticky girl hung on this red web. It was Wan Tian Hiller, 5th level. The girl exclaimed that she had been abducted by monster spider, and called plaintively to the aid. Shihao began to get to her and asked to be silent if she wants to live. If she continues to scream like that, she will attract monsters, and he will no longer risk his life in order to save her. The girl asked, not the senior, or he was Yunfei's brother, Shihao, the one that cannot raise the level. She was very surprised how it could be, how he was able to advance so far in institute. He has only the 3rd level. The girl asked to leave her and run away from here. Shihao realized that she was a friend of his sister, and he exclaimed that if Fei Fai finds out that he abandoned her, he would kill him. Therefore, he asked the girl to shut up and wait calmly. She thanked him but asked not to be stupid. He has only the 3rd level. It cannot be that he managed to cut the web of an elite monster of the 8th level. The boy picked up the web and smiled maliciously. She caught fire in his hands. The girl was very surprised at how he could just burn this web. Is she saved? Shihao asked her to get out of here as soon as possible and find her group. It is dangerous to be alone here. Then the Red Widow of the 8th level began to approach them. The girl could not understand what happened. He asked her to take care of the poison. They fell into a huge, sticky web. Shihao could not understand when she managed to arrange a trap so silently. How he did not guess. This is the mechanics of the elite monster in the dungeon. And he is also with this girl here. They both completely overwhelmed the web. The girl began to scream that it was all over and they would eat them. The boy asked her to calm down and not move, otherwise they would get confused and the web is even stronger. He has a system of access to the overlords of the overlords, but although his abilities have not improved, he has not yet received a new level, so that they are in danger. Later, he will think about the redistribution of glasses. The girl screamed that she did not want to die. Tears shone in her eyes. At one point she thought that the spider had left. Has he considered that they are not tasty enough, and they can be saved? Shihao began to explain that based on information about the behavior of red widows, after they find themselves the food of the Pauls, catch people to lay eggs in them. Most likely it is still hungry and will return when she eats. The girl again began to scream that she did not want to put a spider eggs in her. The boy asked her not to move. If this continues, then they do not escape. They are too tightly connected. If he uses the abilities of the Emperor of Red Flame, then he can injure it. Shi Chao leaned in front of the girl and began to pull his teeth by the web. She decided that he was trying to pester her at such a time. The boy asked her to stop fantasizing, and if she wants to live, then do not move. She asked what he plans to do. Shi Hao realized that fortunately this web is not poisonous. Besides, she was completely fresh. She had not yet managed to harden. The boy did not stop tearing her teeth, realizing that it was very difficult. He asked the girl to help him. Very soon, the web will harden, and the chance to escape will disappear. He asked the girl not to bite him, but to bite the ropes, and no longer make such sounds. After she explained that he touched her boyfriend, asked not to say any more things that people could misunderstand, and so they are finally saved. Shi Hao said that now was not the time to relax, and asked the girl to rise and run from here. She explained that her legs did not obey her. Does it really mean that the fact is a misunderstanding? There was a loud sound. The Red Widow returned again. Shi Hao exclaimed that the girl should have a group and asked to find them and come to his aid. The girl said that even if he tries to look cool, He should take into account the circumstances. After all, he is only the 3rd level. In the battle with the elite monster of the 8th level, he will be killed in a second. She asked the kid to run with her rather. Shihao laughed and replied that he had gone to the dungeon not to run away from the first mob. His goal is a hunt, so that it was insulting because he is going to have fun with him well. While they were talking, the Red Widow was already catching up with them. The boy turned to the girl and told her, "What does he spit? She will run away or remain. The main thing is not to get confused under his feet." The girl asked him to be allowed to stay and chop. In the end, she is a healer of the 5th level. She could not understand how such an aura could have a 3rd level guy. Can he hide his real level? Well, this is absurd. Shihao thought that the Red Widow in the end was also a spider. All anger for the harm caused to his family will now feel the spider in his own skin. The boy realized that the spider does not know how to speak. It seems that he is really much weaker than clairvoyant demonic spider. So even much better, because he will not hear pleas about mercy. Shihao jumped over the spider and began to attack him. The girl was in shock. He really went out to kill an elite mob of the 8th level. It looks like her hunch was true. He really knows how to hide his level. Shihao killed the elite Red Widow and received 1,000 points. Huan Tiantian helped in the murder and received 500 points. The boy received 5,000 additional experience points. The girl was very surprised why she also gave her glasses. She didn't even have time to do anything. Is this a legendary person? She found a person who can steam her. Most often this expression is used to dress and raise the level. The girl asked how he managed to hide the level. It was immediately strange. He entered the school with the 3rd level. Could such a talent simply abyss? When she hugged him, Shichao asked him to let him go. If she grabbed him again, he promised to kill her in place. The guy had already regretted that he took her with him. Shihao told the girl that she received points for the murder, but he would take the whole drop to himself, not taking into account her opinion. The girl replied that she did not need anything while he allowed her to go with him to victory. Shihao received different useful objects from his system. The boy thought it was not bad at all, even if any equipment did not fall out. On such combat trophies, high demand in the black market can be sold. The combat trophy Poisonous Fangs of Red Widows are improved to Deadly Poisonous Fangs Red Widows. Shihao was delighted that a drop could be improved. Before that, a ring fell from a clairvoyant demonic spider. Ring of Good Luck. It was a legendary ring. He decided that he had found a real treasure. With this ring, he will be able to get so much useful in the future. The only thing he does not know with what chance the improvement takes place. Shihao asked the girl to deal with everything herself, and do not stick to him constantly. She noticed that at school everyone calls him a discharge. It turns out all because he pretends. She was wondering if he had any object that allows him to hide the level. Shihao replied that he had many reasons not to answer the question. If she wants him to take her with her to the end, she asks to shut up and keep his secret from others. And then he does not even know what can happen to her. Then they were noticed by guys from another group. They were surprised that Huan Tian was still alive. Since even a Red Widow did not eat her, she is really garbage. The girl asked Li Yun found her patron again, to which the boy replied that he could do what he wants, and therefore threw her out of their group. She only talks about love and spells all day. If they were not classmates, he would never have taken her in inst. The girl exclaimed that he used her like a bait for a Red Widow, and then fingered cowardly. What is bad in love and magic? What the right to laugh at other people's dreams? The guy asked if she really thought herself a sorceress. So in his opinion, she is just a hopeless dumbass. Comrade Brother Lee noticed that something was not converging. Because the Red Widow was killed. She is really dead. He barely gathered people to return and kill her. The guy asked if she was doing this with a spider. The girl explained that they got rid of this great man together with the Red Widow without asking their opinions. They have no idea about honor, so they are not opponents of her friend. The guys noticed that this is the famous for the whole school of Xiaohao. And then they laughed. Did the spell really burn her brain? Huan Tian said that they could laugh at her, but let not dare to insult her god. The guys were asked to score, because this is just 1,000 points. They will be able to get them in another place. Li answered that he would rather believe that it was Huan Tian by some miracle that he had fallen a Red Widow, than that it was a discharge of Shi Chao. Then the boy exclaimed that it seems to be at least some benefit from her, and he suggested returning to their team. The girl said that she no longer believes what he was saying. The guy said that they were giving her a chance to win without much effort. She will even be able to benefit, bypassing their cannon fodder. Moreover, staggering with this guy, He will never know when he died. The girl clenched her fists and again began to ask not to dare to insult her god. Then she heard some kind of terrible sound and hung on the hand of Shichao. It was a roar of a demonic tyrannosaurus. The guys exclaimed that this is an elite boss, for which they give 5,000 points. It is amazing how close to them he was sleeping. They decided to meet, as he is much better than a Red Widow. Shihao asked them to wait. Do they really want to go fight with a demonic tyrannosaur? The boy exclaimed that they would just die. With their current abilities, they are not even suitable for him. He asks them for the sake of his own good to abandon this idea. Li exclaimed that then he would kill him first. But the comrade stopped him and asked his brother Li not to pay attention to nonsense. A little more, and the boss will be taken away by others. Li, leaving, said to Shichao that they had not ended with him yet. The girl exclaimed that her god simply showed care and let them not look for him later in order to cry and ask for help. Turning to the guy, the girl asked Shihao to go to clean up small mobs in the vicinity, so they can easily score glasses. The boy replied that there is a large card and small mobs are concentrated. This is too ineffective. If they want to win, it will simply not be enough to clean the mobs. The girl asked what was his plan then. Shihao explained that of course they would catch up with them and wait. Meanwhile, the demonic tyrannosaurus of the 8th level was already waiting for its victims. The guys noticed that a demonic tyrannosaurus seems to fight with some other creature. He had already been demolished 15% of the HP. It seems they were largely lucky. Comrade told his brother Li that even if so, he emits such a powerful, overwhelming aura that he is hard to breathe. Will everything be fine? Li, his brother, asked if 4 5th level people could not defeat the 8th level dinosaur. He is the only elite boss in this instance who knows how much valuable he is falling from him. Having clenched his fist, he asked his comrades not to be afraid of anything with their strength. They will kill him, and even if they do not pick up the final boss, they will still be in the first 10. And then he will reduce the score with Shichao, and Huantian herself will rush into his arms. He will show this discharge that you should not come in front of him. Then he will ask for forgiveness from his older brother and say that he was mistaken. Everything develops just successfully. They began to run towards danger. Li exclaimed that he would cut him into shreds today. One of the guys said that he remembers as if in Gaida it was written that a demonic tyrannosaurus is black and green. Why it is black and red? It seems Black Red was in a state of frenzy. Is it really angry with other monsters? Why did he not say about it before? He will simply kill them in fury. Li brother gave the team to run away. They saw the state of rage of this monster. The dinosaur began to run after Li. He thought that, although he could still escape, in the end he has good dexterity. He will never catch up with him. He must bring him to people so that the dinosaur switches to them. The nearest person is Xiao Hao. He hoped that the guy would enjoy his gift. Shihao and the girl walked through the forest. Li found them. He said that while he had found them, almost died, and they simply wandered idle. Huantian exclaimed that he was scared again and fled shamefully as she thought. Li asked her not to be so insensitive because he was not alone. He exclaimed that he had prepared a special gift for them. Shihao asked the guy not to be modest. His accumulated points are already the best gift. The boy noticed that Li Yun was quite fast. Is he really going to attack on his forehead? But what happened to his group? This is all somehow suspicious. Li Yun replied that they would talk about points later. He ran to the girl and pushed her. He asked to see what kind of gift he presented. Then he pushed the girl with all his might to the ground. She exclaimed, not understanding what he wanted from them. Why suddenly he was doing this. Turning around, Huantian saw a demonic tyrannosaurus in front of her and began to scream. Shihao asked the girl not to attack him, since the dinosaur is not on her. The girl apologized and said that she was not on purpose. She asked her god to help her. Li Yun told Xiao that for a man who had never been to Institute before, he really did not disappoint Huantian. How did he take this idiot to his team? Did he boast that he himself could win alone? So he passes his gift to him personally. He asked the guys not to worry. When a demonic tyrannosaurus will end them, he will be raised from their bodies. After that, the boy laughed and disappeared into a dense green forest. But it wasn't there. Shihao exclaimed that he did not allow him to leave. Although Huantian is stupid, because she is a beginner. But for her he at least has application. And as for him, then he is even more worthless than the rest. The guy squeezed his teeth without understanding what was happening. He is exactly in full invis, as She Chaos can see him. It seems that the level of his ability is still not high enough. She does not make him truly invisible. Therefore, the guy asked him not to be surprised so much. He feels the heat that he produces. Li Yun could not understand whether She Chaos really has the outgoing warmth, thermal imager. After all, this is impossible. When Xiao Hao grabbed the guy by the throat, he asked him to let him go. Devil's Tyrannosaurus in frenzy. If this continues, then they will all die. Li Yun could not understand what kind of power it was. A variant of a hot cell. Everything around was lit up with a bright red-yellow flame. Li Yong exclaimed that She Chaos was that garbage that could not increase the level where he got such a force. He asked, since the boy is so strong, why not kill the demonic Tyrannosaurus together? I would just share glasses, and the whole drop will be him. Shi Hao replied that he was even more arrogant than he thought. However, he first needs to ask the girl if she agrees or not. Li Yun asked his sister Huan how she thinks whether they should give help to a classmate with points in the dungeon. The girl thought that God is so imperious. This makes her heart beat even faster. He asked her, even if she was against being fought together, help at least get a mercy from Xiao. Huan Tian asked the guy to let him go, because such a vile person as he does not deserve forgiveness. Li Yong exclaimed that he should not use it as cannon fodder and asked him to give him a chance. Huan noticed that the demonic Tyrannosaurus got out. What should they do now? He was able to destroy the fiery wall. The state of frenzy cannot be neglected. Li Yun had a kuti saturated with poison in his hands. Any blow will be fatal. The guy began to run up behind the guys, raising his weapons over their heads. Xiao Hao felt the enemy from behind. He asked how the guy dares to attack at such a time. But is it really that his brain is really for decoration? The boy continued to explain that at first he took into account his efforts to deliver a monster to him, and was about to let him go with his hands. But now he does not see this. He will gladly accept all his gifts. Shi Hao receives personal and command glasses Li Yuna 5000. PvP protective mechanism is activated. The player Li Yun lost to a duel and will be thrown out of the dungeon. Li exclaimed that the guy did not even hope for mercy, he promised to pay him. The player of Shi Hao was congratulated. He received a book of skill invisibility, and Ikuti saturated with poison. After the victory over the enemy, there is a certain chance that objects selected from the enemy can be sold. The boy thought that as expected, the offspring of rich parents of Li Yun, a really high-quality equipment is already at the 5th level. 2 items were obtained, which is very rare. While the boy was understanding, Huan Tian shouted that the devilish Tyrannosaurus was approaching him. Shi Hao noticed that he got here very quickly. Demonic Tyrannosaurus, a special monster of the forests of shadows. Its main attribute of fire quickly goes into a state of frenzy. The state of frenzy, its main characteristics can increase by 2 or more times. At this time, it is very difficult to win. The textbook said that if in the open world or in the dungeon you encountered a monster in a state of frenzy, then you need to go to the ground, so there will be a small chance to survive. He is not a problem for him, and just a small obstacle. Shi Hao began to use a bomb of a fiery dragon. If the demonic Tyrannosaurus is in a state of frenzy, then after the murder there will not be any drop. The idea is to make the player kill the monster without putting him into a frenzy. This is a very cunning mechanics. Fortunately, he guessed to leave the opportunity to frenzy. Even if the demonic Tyrannosaurus is already in frenzy, he has a plan. And in this regard was Huan Tian. He went to the girl and asked her to listen to him. It was required to impose peace on a demonic Tyrannosaurus. Shi Hao explained that this is a special skill of Hill. She can remove the effect of frenzy. The girl replied that they had a big difference in the levels. She is not sure that the spell would work, and she will be able to use it only once for the battle. The boy said that he does not say this skill now. It is necessary to wait for his team, to increase the chance of triggering skill. He will first remove HP to 20%. He is very strong. The girl thought that God could successfully resist the monster in frenzy. Its strength is comparable to professional members of groups to pass the insta. Just killing an elite monster even in a state of frenzy for him is easier. He has to calculate the forces so that this does not happen by chance. Otherwise, they will not receive anything. The boy noticed that he had a very strong blow. There should be a lot of full-fledged loot in this monster. He caught on his tail tightly, and he asked to show him what surprises he could still give him. Xiao Hou gave command Huan Tian to use skill faster. The girl immediately obeyed him. She waved her magic wand and began to combine beauty and wisdom, embodying love and magic. In the name of love, she decided to heal him. The girl sent an air kiss towards the dragon. Why did he shout so plaintively? Interestingly, it was peace or torture. Shi Hao asked the girl is sure that she used the right spell. Huan Tian replied, thinking that there should be no mistakes. Suddenly the dragon turned into a little dragon. The girl exclaimed that it was very nice. Is it really a demonic tyrannosaurus? Huantian herself was surprised that her reassurance spell caused such an effect. Shihao replied that now he needed to finish him off. After that, they will receive glasses and drops and go further. The girl immediately hugged the dragon and asked to wait. He may not kill him, he is so nice. In addition, he is also a Rarik. Wouldn't it be better to put it as a pet? The boy replied that in this case he would first kill her and take her accumulated glasses, and then he would make him his pet. Will kill two birds with one shot. When asked what she thinks about this, the girl began to give the dragon to him. Still, getting experience and drop is more important. Shihao looked at the dragon and exclaimed that he was useless to look at him like that. He knows better than the strongest in this world. People and monsters are the same. In order not to become prey for others, they can only become stronger. Shihao received 5,000 points. Huantian receives 2,500 points for assistance. She exclaimed that she could not even think that there were so many points for the dragon. Shihao received 50,000 experience points. This is even more than they gave for a demonic clairvoyant spider. It seems that in Institute there is a buff for the experience gained. The boy decided to go into the interface and see what else you can spend experience points, except on increasing the level of communication between accounts. It was found that the owner has a large number of accumulated experience. For its optimal use, it is recommended to increase the connection with the Emperor of the Red Flame to the 20th level, which will allow access to other accounts. Shihao thought that the Emperor of the Red Flame was already very strong. But now you should not unlock a bunch of new accounts. It will not master so much. It is better to focus on the one that he already has. Even if the damage just grows, you can still encounter an enemy who will not be able to win. The boy decided to open the panel of special abilities. The Emperor of Red Flame of the 12th level can open many abilities. He was surprised why the additional abilities are so expensive. But this keen look is really amazing. It is literally the same as knowing the whole card in a certain range. Although only living creatures can be revealed, this is enough. Shihao decided to unlock a keen look. Due to the fact that the shadow is very well hidden, he even thought whether this was a matter. But now with this ability to search for monsters, he has nothing to fear. He will be the first to kill this boss. Then Huantian called him, and she asked to look forward. Showing her finger, she asked him to take a closer look. He asked the girl who allowed her to open the drop, or she was tired of living. Huantian laughed and replied that she was a little short. Lived? Well, now the main thing is not, because there was an egg. Shihao said that he rumored to burst him. Unknown egg. He can spend experience points to grow it or just fry it with rice. The guy thought that in this way you can get an extremely rare object. Is this girlfriend really so successful? She exclaimed that it was very cool. Usually from such eggs you can get military pets or marionettes. She introduced God riding on a formidable demonic tyrannosaurus. Even her heart begins to beat faster. Shihao thought it sounds pretty good. After he received an unknown egg, Zhuan asked the guy whether she was even a little useful. She always pulls him down, for which she is very ashamed. The girl thanked him for not abandoning her. Shihao asked Huantian not to be so naive. He will not fall on her fishing rod and will not give her an egg. The girl exclaimed that her words were sincere and he did not understand her. She ran after him explaining that she did not need his egg. She asked to wait for her. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, a restroom at school. Mo watched what was happening and noticed that this boy really has something curious. Even the devilish Tyrannosaurus in a state of frenzy is not an opponent. He does not look like a wimp with the 3rd level. Mo asked her people to bring here the director Jan. Although the new Lin Lao designed system for monitoring of the dungeons and not bad, it works only with low-level installations. When they can also monitor the installations of medium and high levels, the combat grouping of their clan will gain an advantage and will be able to rise in the ranking. The director asked the girl what she wanted. Mo asked how many points she received Shao in the dungeon. Director Yang asked if it was a student who still could not increase the level. The girl looked at the old man in surprise when he said about could not increase the level. She asked him to explain herself. Jan began to tell that when a student of Shihao entered school, he already had the 3rd level. Then everyone called his genius. However, in 3 years, he did not raise a level. But he does not know what happened to him. The girl realized that the guy was disguised well, but she could not understand for what purpose. He is becoming more and more curious. When the director looked at the monitor, he was very surprised. How it turned out that in the rating of Shi Chao in third place. How he could achieve this. Mo said it is time to publish the current rating in the dungeon. Moreover, it is necessary to make information about the location of the players of the public. The director was very surprised that Miss Mo plans to complicate the task for them. In this dungeon there are already quite complicated mechanics. If they make up the locations, then students will certainly arrange a brawl among themselves. The first will open the hunt on Xiao Hao. Mo replied that the real world is much worse than this instant of the 10th level. If the clan Hanmo plan to select someone, then it should be the best. The director could not think that Miss will be interested in Shi Chao. Maybe he is really talented. It seems to be more attentive to follow this student. Meanwhile, in the dungeon of the Forest of Shadows, they really united to kill other players. On Earth lay the leader of the Chenfeng group, for which 2,000 points were received. The leader of the Luo Feng group stood over the lying guy. He answered him that there is no such rule here that would forbid them to unite. He just uses the opportunities provided. Attacking a guy, he asked him to just dump from Institute to go to complain about him to the director, as expected from Brother Feng. The leader of the group Zhang Yi said that under his leadership of 2 detachments, they are simply invincible and glass is flowing. The guy replied that in the future he wants to become a professional player for progress in the Insties, so he cannot understand his joys. He would not have contacted these discharges if he had not needed glasses. A system warning has come. The school opened access to the rating of players in the dungeon and their location. The leader explained that this is all obvious. They considered that they did not have a hard competition enough, so they decided to stir them up. This is perfect. Now making points on other players will be much easier. The leader noticed that the garbage of Shi Chao still did not drop out. Yes, and is in third place. How he did it? Or is it just luck? If you rely on luck, he reached third place, then it is very commendable. The strip of good luck is over. It is time to pick up his glasses. Raising the weapon up, the leader led his team along, since another fight awaits them. It is time to teach a lesson to this garbage of Shi Chao. And then the hunting for the guy began. The leader of the group, Shu Tian, 6,500 points. He fled through the forest. I thought about how this could happen. He's just some kind of demon. Their team attacked him, but in the end, he is the only one who survived. How could this happen? The guy could not understand how such a force could have a second level. The boy was at a dead end. He heard a voice behind his back. He was asked where he was so running. Shi Hao explained to the guy that he would not eat him and asked to just talk. Did he not come for his glasses? He waits not to wait until the guy kills him and called to approach him. The guy exclaimed that he was lying. He killed all members of his group, as he could believe him. After which, he clenched his fists and began to attack Xiao. He decided not to give up once he would die anyway, at least to fight him. Shi Hao replied that he began. Why then the villain exposes him? While he can earn glasses, what is the difference of a demon or an angel? He blocked the enemy's blow, using a twilight flame of true fire. Shi Hao asked the next time to bring more people with him. He killed Shu Tian and received 6,500 points plus a weak potion of treatment. Activated PvP protection mechanism, Shu Tian is transferred from the dungeon. Huan Tian exclaimed that Shi Chao really deserves the title of God. He defeated all 4 groups that decided to attack them, and this is very cool. The boy replied that it was a pity from all these people nothing useful, except for glasses. He thought that the fact that the school revealed their points and the location quite corresponded to the character of Miss Mo. She wanted to increase competition, but in fact, she only simplified his task. Huan Tian noticed that they were the first. The boy replied that he understood, but now is not the time to celebrate. You can't lose vigilance. Meanwhile, the director congratulated the talented Hila Huan Tian on the first place in the competition in the dungeon. She receives a reward to the cash prize. Shi Hao noticed that it was terrible. The girl still dreams of becoming a goddess. As experience shows, more and more people begin to hate her. Looking at the map, the guy noticed that only 3 teams remained in instance. Is it really moving to completion? Huan Tian asked why Luo Feng and Zhang Yi, finding himself below, have not yet undertook anything. Shi Hao replied that he knew the character of Luo Feng well, even if he seems to be an aggressive fool. Well, in fact, he is very cunning and careful. He thinks that this guy is watching from afar. Since he surpassed his expectations, he does not rush just ahead. When he comes up with a plan and will be completely sure of it, then he will immediately attack and kill him. The girl exclaimed that it was mean. The boy explained that that guy was simply trying to compensate for what was considered his younger brother. They should focus on finding and killing the final boss in this insta. Chuan replied that she had heard that the shadow is hiding so well in the forests, so well that no one could find it. She is sure that sending them to the Forest of Shadows, at school they immediately planned that the winner would be defined in PvP. Shi Hao was surprised that the girl was able to independently come to this conclusion. She asked not to underestimate her mental abilities because of her beauty. Shi Hao exclaimed that she was right. The competition this year is really more directed at PvP. However, he does not plan to refuse to kill the boss. In the end, a lot of useful things should fall from him. Therefore, the guy decided to activate a keen look. In front of him was all instructions in front of him. This ability really costs its 70,000 experience points. Looking carefully, Shi Chao realized that he had found a shadow tone. A keen gaze did not disappoint him. It was so easy to find a boss with him. It doesn't matter. In the open world or in institute, crushing and special abilities will always be useful. He must open them even more. Shi Hao noticed that the flame was also in the depths of the forest. What a convenient ability. Just 10 out of 10. The guy had an idea. He called the girl and exclaimed that he had found the final boss, and if they did not rush, they could lose to others. Huan was very surprised and praised him. Shi Hao said that if she screams like that, then someone would hear them. Indeed, they were heard by the guys who had a hunt for Sheo. They heard that the guy found a boss. But what if he tries to lure them into a trap? Usually he is so weak that he does not dare to pitch, he cannot change. The comrade replied that he himself saw Xiao Hao destroyed 4 teams with almost one blow. The leader replied that he wants to get into the detachment of the Mo clan, so they are obliged to get glasses for the boss. It doesn't matter what he will do, he will show him. He rejoiced that he was different from all this garbage, and called his team along to kill him and the boss. Comrade told Brother Fan that they had a problem. The location of Shi Chao has disappeared. He disappeared somewhere. Feng was very surprised and could not understand how possible. How he could just abyss. When he managed to learn this, that girl from his pati, the first year from the 3rd grade, Huan Tian, should still be there. The guy gave the command to surround it and catch it. He will not believe that he will stay away. The girl walked through the woods and asked Shi Chao not to joke like that with her. To seem, because now is not the time for this. He only said, "Please, be careful with a bait," and immediately disappeared. Huan Tian thought about what Xiao Hao was plotting. He probably thinks that Luo Feng and the rest will lead to it and appear. But are they stupid enough to buy it? Then in front of her appeared the leader of the Luo Feng group. He asked the girl where Shi Chao. The girl replied that she did not know. The guy asked her to stop hanging his noodles on his ears and say where this garbage went. Huan Tian explained that he suddenly disappeared. They can check it on the map. Luo Feng exclaimed that her life depends on her answer. The girl said that she did not know the truth. She really hoped that the guy would seem. After all, she delayed them as soon as she could. But on this, her authority was all. Then the guys felt some kind of earthquake. In front of them, the final boss of the dungeons, a shadow, is rebelled. 10th level. One of the guys exclaimed that this could not be. How they could stumble upon a boss, which no one could find. The second guy thought that he could win, just scoring a maximum of points through PvP, waiting for the end of time. Well, now to do. Li Feng asked not to panic. The Shadow Ancient has the entire 10th level, and there are as many as 10 people. He gave the team more to take up positions, and so far he is overgrown with himself. The guy realized that Shi Chao for this purpose lured them here. He will take advantage of his opportunity, and when it kills the Shadow Ancient, he will do it. The guy gave the team first to take up positions and concentrate on the weak places of the monster. He asked them to use fiery spells. The team got into combat positions. Li Feng asked to follow the HP and not to chew the snot. The team immediately obeyed the guy. He began to use a fireball. DPS is crazy. Let the second tank get ready to pick up aggro. Huan Tian noticed that they had a huge coordination. Somehow it does not look like only assembled teams. It seems that Luo Feng is not just an upstart, but the girl noticed his good skills. She began to scream, "Where is her god?" If he does not appear, then Luo Feng and the team will be killed by the Shadow Ancient. One of the leaders exclaimed that if they continue in the same spirit, they would be able to defeat this boss. Li Feng replied that they would undoubtedly succeed. Apart from the numerical advantage, he simply divinely does it. But then he noticed that the shadow is now petrified and immune to all the blows. The leader warned the guys that the second phase began. They could not understand what happened. The leader asked not to ask him, because he himself does not understand anything. Nobody has yet encountered the ancient shadow in the second phase. The guys began to ask his brother Feng what to do next. The roots of this monster began to climb and crack the ground. What happened to these roots? He used his strength to create many small ancient. Now he has a numerical advantage. Among them, even the weakest are 7-level ones. You need to run away soon, Li Feng asked without panic, and rather take his position to everyone. All aggro hangs on it. Meanwhile, Zhuantian tied the truly with his roots. She called him a pervert and asked to lower him to the ground. The girl began to call for the aid of Shi Chao, and the monster in turn laughed at her. Then he threw her with all his might to the side. Shi Hao caught the girl in time and praised her for completing her task. But next time she better watch the show from afar. Huan Tian asked if she was really useful. The boy replied that the truth. She was very happy and said that although she was very scared, she still played an important role. Shi Hao asked her to be calmer. He was sorry that he had to use her as a bait, but he promised to compensate for it. Luo Feng exclaimed that now is not the time for flirting. But the Xiao Hao plan was a success. He brought them to the boss, and he decided to sit aside. Shi Hao replied that he only wanted to enjoy the show. To kill this boss, he does not even need to strain. But he impressed him, a very good coordination of the detachment and general preparation. Luo Feng replied that he did not have time to listen to his flattery. Since he sees what this boss is capable of, then you need to unite. Let them be together in garbage. They can at least help him extinguish all mobs on him. Shi Hao asked Luo Feng not to lift his nose. The guys asked the garbage to get out of here. Do not stand in their way if he does not want to die. The boy asked if the leader thinks that he needed to unite with him. Zhang Yi was killed, and Shi Chao received 8,500 points. Luo Feng began to be indignant that he killed an ally in a similar situation. Shi Hao replied that he was not an ally. For him, they just swarm like cockroaches. Get their glasses for him once. Luo Feng exclaimed that since he decided to come in front of him, he would kill him. And he ran with an attack on the guy. But Shi Hao immediately stopped him with one movement of his hand. He said that being impulsive is not bad, but if he does not have real strength, then they will quickly kill him on the battlefield. Luo Fan did not like that the guy was going to teach him. He asked him not to be so arrogant. He will not be able to kill the boss alone. He had no point in cutting his team for the sake of glasses. After all, if the boss kills him, he will still lose everything. Shi Hao said that then he would kill him the last, so that he could see it with his own eyes. He will not only receive all points, but will also remain unharmed. Luo Feng asked what he was going to do. The guys could not understand why the guy is Dametu, and them. The fire fell into their backs, also impressed the small ancient. One of the guys asked Luo Feng to help him, but the guy did not give him a hand. They noticed that the force from the small ancient returns to their boss. Wantian noticed that the stone armor of the huge ancient suddenly cracked. In a new appearance, the antiquity has become much less. Shadow villages in shadow mode. Apparently, this is the last phase of the boss. Wantian realized that this was the last phase of the shadow ancient. Although it has decreased, it looks more dangerous. She asked Shi Hao to be careful. The guy was surprised how fast the Tremum moves. Where did he get such speed? The boss of the 10th level should not have this. Moreover, you can understand a decrease in size and simultaneous increase in speed, but his strength remained the same. For an ordinary player, without special attacks, it will not be easy to kill him. Luo Feng laughed and exclaimed that the games were over. Does the kid still want to kill him alone? Now he will first raise it, and then he will conduct a combo hit to his death, and by the time his body falls back to the ground, he will already be a shapeless mass. Shi Hao replied that no matter how many tricks he had, he was just a boss of the 10th level. The last phase should not be so difficult. You just need to focus on his weaknesses, and just add even more heat. Xiao Hao congratulated the shadow of the shadow on the boss. He received 10,000 points. 10,000 prizes were also received for the first murder of the boss. Congratulated the player of Shi Hao on the achievement of the more brushwood, the higher the flame. The dungeon of the shadows was passed. There are only 3 survivors. The portal is open. It is necessary to leave the dungeon as soon as possible. Luo Feng was very surprised that the boy instantly killed the boss as possible. Shi Hao replied that if he was strong enough, everything is possible. The boy looked at Luo Feng and said that the show was over and now his turn. Luo Feng asked him for forgiveness. He wanted mercy from the guy and promised him to never dare to shift again. He will treat him as an older brother as before. Shi Hao noticed that he still has a conscience to offer him this. What a pity that he no longer approaches the role of a younger brother. The guy got angry and exclaimed that he had given him such an opportunity, and the guy refuses. Even in such circumstances, he tried to attack stealthily. Huan Tian told Luo Feng that such a vile trick would not work with God. Luo Feng said goodbye to Xichao and said that no matter how strong he was, he has little real experience. The girl noticed that he was running away. The guy asked not even to dream of getting his glasses. Shihao said that with such a difference in strength as they are, experience is not important. Xiao Hao killed Luo Feng. All glasses of his group were received. Puppet map. After activation, a user clone will be created, which can be freely manipulated. The user himself will be in an invisible state for 30 seconds. Huan Tian received 21,000 points in this instance. It can get a lot of gold coins when exchanging a point. Shi Hao said that he immediately said that he would leave the group before leaving the dungeon. So only he will receive a reward of 500 points. Does she have any complaints? The girl replied that she was already very pleased with what she received. He brought her to victory. Shi Hao thought that, although she was prefixed, she knew the measure. For the victory over the final boss, the guy received a rather rare subject. Inlapped precious stone heart of nature. Shi Hao decided that for him he was useless, and gave the stone to the girl. She was very delighted with this. After all, she was not particularly useful, and he gives her such a jewel. The girl fantasized that God loves her. Shi Hao explained that he promised her a reward for becoming a bait. Then the boy decided to dissolve the group. Suddenly there was a signal that the dungeon was crumbling. It is necessary to leave the dungeon as soon as possible. The portal will soon close. Shi Hao exclaimed that this was a bug. He does not see another explanation. What could happen outside? Shi Hao asked Huan Tian to run faster to the portal from the dungeon. Otherwise, it will be locked here forever. The girl ran so quickly that she slipped and fell. It seems she turned her leg. Shi Hao did not expect this to happen at such a critical moment. She began to cry and ask for forgiveness. She should not go to this inst. She asked God to leave soon and leave her. She cannot continue to get him into her problems. But Shi Hao took her in his arms. He said that she was right. Here, if he did not calculate his abilities and strength, he subscribed to an immortal sentence, although she fully justified his idea of herself. But in the end, they were in the same team and he chose it himself. And throwing a group member for him is unacceptable. The boy threw the girl far to the portal and began to run that there is urine. There is very little time left. While in the portal, she asked how he could be so stupid. Sacrifice yourself for her. She did not want to be the only survivor. He said that he would not leave his team members. Only a few seconds remained. The portal in the dungeon closes. Well, why was it possible to play this drama about eternal separation, as if they were in a series of some kind? The guy began to use the return scroll, to sacrifice herself to save another, a girl of too good opinion about him. He sent her to the portal in case she forgot to take the return scroll with her. The spell was ready. Teleportation begins. Student rest and teleportation room is completed. Well, why was the exit from the dungeon destroyed? Is the earthquake really? There should be another reason for the closure of the portal. The girl was crying, but Shi Chao approached her and asked who stupid it here. Seeing him, she was delighted that he was still alive. The portal closed, and she thought that he was forever stuck in a destroyed dungeon. Shi Hao asked the girl not to cry with him, everything is in order, because when the portal was closed, he used the teleportation scroll. How could she forget about basic information? Huan Tian, who was so lulling to him in Insta, now she suddenly began to be shy. The guys with weapons in their hands began to approach them. They were surprised where the school children come from. This could have happened, did not say, all school children should be in the gym. There was a team to catch them soon. The guys thought it was a detachment of mercenaries of a black tiger. The one who killed civilians in a safe zone 5 years ago, and then was exiled. Shi Hao thought it was strange. As a hired criminal group, she was able to penetrate the safe zone and why they chose a school. They can hardly profit from something here. The guys were surprised where the third level came from such a pretty companion. The sky will punish him for this, Shi Hao exclaimed, calming the girl that everything would be fine with him. The man was angry because the rejection of the third level dares to argue with him. He gave the command to break his leg. He wants the guy to see how they have fun with his girlfriend. They decided to kill him all his legs. Shi Hao was waiting for their attack, which he instantly repulsed. He got the experience of 2,000 points. The guy was surprised how he could kill the 15th level. Shi Hao said that if he remembers correctly, criminals like them, expelled from the safe zone, are ready to take up any dangerous work if they pay. They went so far it cannot be only to just give the whole reward to him. The guy asked not to kill him. He promised to give money and information. The passive ability to set fire to the Emperor of the Red Flame every second, causes enemies damage in the amount of 1% of their maximum health. Shi Hao exclaimed that this is already clear, such information is useless. This is the clan Huan Zheng. He hired them to kill the beauty of the Moscow region. They not only let them into the safe zone, but also gave rare stones to the head so that it took only 2 bodyguards. Shi Hao has already heard that these clans are not fighting for life, but to death for the dungeon of hunting grounds. But this time they dared to directly attack the beauty of CO. This is very valuable information. The guy kneeling in front of him thanked him for saving his life. He decided that it was necessary to quickly drink a large potion of treatment until his CP fell to 0. Is the whole school really surrounded by a magic barrier? It seems to be impossible to get out and go to sell information to the Hanmo clan. The guy was still damaged. He realized that Shi Chao lied to him. The boy replied that he had never said that he would spare him. What kind of deception could be? Shi Hao told Zhuan Tian that the school was surrounded by a barrier so that he could not get out of here. He asked her to find a safe place to hide. The girl replied that the school should be full of full mercenaries from the Black Tiger. Shi Hao replied that now only he could save everyone. Even if it is dangerous, he must at least try. He asked the girl not to repeat her mistakes. In this situation, it could cost her life. She replied that she understood him and find a place where no one could find her. She felt that although she was a noob, he did not look at her down. Huan Tian asked the guy to be more attentive and monitor safety. He assured the girl that she could be calm. Shi Hao exclaimed that he was never rash. Its main goal to ensure the safety of the sister of the Moscow region. The eldest daughter of the Mo clan cannot die in any way. And who else will give him a reward? Meanwhile, the war was patrolled, although they thought that they had already caught all students. The guy replied that the head was afraid that there are still some students who had not left the instance, who told their team that the head ordered to guard the entrance to the instance. There is nothing to worry about. They destroyed the exit from the dungeon, so that if one of the students remained there, they have long died. The guys decided that the time had come to change the detachments. It was time to return to the chapter. Shi Hao noticed that even the patrols have the 15th level. Teachers are mainly the 10th, 20th level. It is useless to resist them. 20 minutes still, Miss Mo will have to wait until the keen gaze. Since he does not yet know the location of all people in this school, the boy decided to chat first with the commander of these two. Meanwhile, the boss reported that all the students caught at the exit from the dynasty on the spot. Everyone who wants to survive is just sitting quietly. Well, why do they want to achieve it? The teacher screamed to the soldiers to let her and her students go. The leader noticed that she was very well and beautifully connected. It is simply brilliant. He began to lick, disgusted. The woman said that they dared to arrange riots at school, in a safe zone. The leader replied that this was not what she needed to worry about now. She should think about how to please him to survive. The girl asked to let her go. The man noticed that women in this safety zone are so unusual. Life in luxury and bad disposition led to such behavior. One of the guys said that he tied it up. And he asked how the boss would finish with the meal to leave a little and them. The boss replied that he would be the next in line. Luo Feng thought that if they only began to resist the teacher would have a chance to escape and call for help. The boss exclaimed, approaching the teacher, that it was time to get down to business, and laughed immediately. Luo Feng asked boss to let her go. He tried to push the man away from the teacher. He cannot just watch when she will torment her right before his eyes. The boss noticed that a trifle of the 5th level builds himself a hero who saves a beauty. He realized that the baby is not indifferent, but it is not surprising who would resist such a beauty. What a libertine! He admired his recklessness. After all, he has such a potential. The man threw a knife to his teeth. Their new era is simply permeated by the spirit of the end of the world. The boss asked not to be deceived by imaginary security. These weaklings are not worthy of living. He asked to kill them. If Luo Feng does this, he will be able to join them. The guys asked him not to do this. Luo Feng knew that he was a really bad person. Students were already preparing for death. He not only robbed people at school, but also enjoyed murders in PvP. But the guy still saw the difference between the dungeon and a real life. He raised the knife up and exclaimed that they had a very bad group, and he is not like them. When the guy waved his hand with a knife, boss thought he had at least a little mind, but he nevertheless disappointed him. Once I decided to build himself a hero. Now he is definitely a lid. But the boy tried to beat off a blow. For the first time in his life, he committed the right act. And here it is, death. It turns out he was better than thinking about him. Someone's weapon hit the boss right. Blood poured from his mouth. Around everyone was surprised how this could happen. Luo Feng heard a familiar voice. He could not understand what suddenly happened to the boss. Shi Hao said that usually Luo Feng performs a lot of bad deeds, but facing a serious moral dilemma, he acted like a real man. Shi Hao was at the stage of invisibility. It seems he did the right thing that he followed these two mercenaries. Under the buff of the Emperor of the Red Flame, invisibility and the strength of objects can get a special improvement. The guard realized that this little one arose from nowhere, and even attacked the boss in the back. Well, as possible, because their captain has a 25th level. He must have turned this vile trick with the help of some object. They gave the team to kill him, rather. Shi Hao told Luo Fan so that if he wants to live, he would go to bed. When the guy lay down, Shi Chao figured out 3 fighters. When the guys began to talk to him, he asked them to speak in turn. If not for him, they would have been dead. Shi Hao told Luo Feng that his behavior surprised him in difficult times. He worthy to be considered his younger brother. Does he want to join him? The guy replied that of course he wants. He called him a respected older brother, and he was ready for the sake of becoming stronger to do everything that he would order him. Shi Hao said that he has a good dream. Only people who are on the verge of death can understand the basic rule of survival in this world. He handed Luan Fan a knife and said that his experience would be his gift to him. The boss was lying on the floor and said that smelly school children dared to resist the mercenaries of the Black Tiger. He advised them to take their place, for they will kill not only them, but also their entire family. Luo Feng brought a knife above his head and said that he knew about everything that the Black Tiger clan was doing. Therefore, he will not even hesitate. I would never have thought that the day would come when he would commit justice. The level of the guy increased by 5 points. The boy began to thank Shi Chao for such a great opportunity. He exclaimed that his life now belongs to him. Shi Hao asked him not to bow to him. This is not necessary. The rest of the guys immediately began to ask him to allow them to join him. They promised to serve him fidelity. Shi Hao asked if they thought they were suitable for him. Luo Feng said that his boss was saying a matter. Their worthless abilities are not enough. The fact that they were saved is already luck. So the guy asked them to shut up. The teacher thanked Luo Feng. In the eyes of teachers, he was rather a bad student, but in such a situation it was he who saved her. The guy answered, blushing, that there was no gratitude. One of the advantages of bad students, they have no fear or conscience. He could not look at what these freaks were going to do with the teacher. Shi Hao asked his brother to help untie other students, as it was unsafe to stay here. The guys asked Shi Chao what to do next. All students are hosted by hostages, and leaving school is blocked by seal. They cannot escape from here and escape. Shi Hao asked the teacher not to worry and promised to find a way out. The boy decided that it was time to act. It is necessary to apply a keen look at school. Then he activated a keen look. The location of all people is indicated on the map. Judging by the map, most school children and teachers are closed in the gym. Although the protection has a level and low, but there are quite a lot of them. Near the warehouse there are no patrols and guards, whether the teacher and the rest may well hide there. However, the glory of the Black Tiger is not an empty phrase. They have several people above the 40 level. Shi Hao asked Luo Feng to take the teacher and everyone else and hide in the warehouse. The guy replied that he wants to go with him and help him get rid of the mercenaries. The boy replied that there would be more problems from him than good. Moreover, he will be able to make a more important thing, to ensure the safety of the teacher and students. He handed the guy some item. Luo Feng realized that this was the subject with which he killed the head of the detachment, and decided that it was too wasteful to give him such things. Shi Hao asked, taking into account their forces, they should only encounter a group of mercenaries they would immediately kill. Therefore he asked to avoid battles, and if he could not hit them in the back, to inflict the highest damage. Only 2 applications are left, so you need to be careful. Luo Feng asked the boss not to worry. He was special for blows in the back and the like that. Shi Hao thought that at least his main task is to save Miss Mo. But the commander of the mercenaries, as much as the 45th level, he is too strong. Even using the account of the Emperor of the Red Flame, he is not sure that he can win with a difference of 33 levels. Its main problem is that he cannot appreciate the limits of his strength. Now at 12 levels of communication of accounts, he can defeat the enemy of the 25th. But what about the one standing at the gate with a 40 level? The difference of 28 levels does not really scare him, but it is better to play it safe and increase the level of adhesion. He decided to enter the visual interface. He has 50,000 retained experience points. It can increase the level of communication or open new abilities. The boy decided to increase the level of communication of accounts. He got a plus of 9 levels. The current level of communication was 21. He felt this power with his whole body. So overcoming a certain line, the connection will increase its personal level. The account of the red flame reached 20, so the talent of talents opened to him. For an extra level, he received 1 point for distribution. Although he increased the level of communication, the difference is still about 20 Elvlov, whether he should take something to defend. After all, survival is most important. He chose a protective talent. The protective branch is pumped for 1. It is time to check what this first level defense will give him. Unlocked additional active protection skill. He also received an additional active skill. Detonation, the active protective ability of a neighbor. Contented skill. The guy came up with the idea of how to apply it. One of the warriors thought that in this safe zone it is so good. Everywhere there is only peace and tranquility. But the whole world beyond its borders is so different. The second replied that even they did not dare to move far from safe zones. There are rumors that the distant parts of the continent remained as they were before the era of the Earth. But here are strong monsters and instants everywhere, so no one has yet dared to go to research. Even the combat detachments of large clans are advancing very carefully, and are more focused on stripping and capturing insta. One of the warriors heard that the clans of Huanzhen and Hanmo are just competing in one now, and their task this time is another. The partner asked him to shut up so that the head would not hear them. Shihao took advantage of the moment and killed these two. Award for the murder of 2,000 points. There are 6 15th level people and 1 40. He decided to first kill low levels and then engage in their commander. The guys noticed that they did not follow the schoolboy. There was a team to kill him. If Shihao is not mistaken, then there are 2 armored trucks nearby. Mercenaries, like them, do not have a permanent base, so they always carry everything valuable and necessary with them, perhaps just in these trucks. The deputy had thought about the guy that this was just a small rat. It makes no sense to panic, it was already over with him. The guys thought that as soon as the deputy chapter would shoot, there would be no stroke and scraps. This is just a child who literally stood under the barrel of a gun. Shihao decided that since they want to play with fire, you need to give the heat. The deputy head was very surprised. He used 6 powerful grenades, and the 4-level melon is still alive. Shihao exclaimed that 6 are not enough. He wanted to see all his power. As expected from the overlord account, the protective talent is very good. The deputy chapter said that the male was crazy. Regardless of his motives, it is useless to oppose the mercenaries of the Black Tiger. He decided to introduce him to buff to the hellish roar on his endless supplies. Shihao exclaimed that he had a good gun. The 40 level has such a strong, overwhelming aura. Jumping, the boy decided that his jumps were simply necessary. Is it really all he can be, Banny Hop? Surely his brains melted from the heat. The deputy head admitted that Xiao is still better than he expected, but it does not play much difference. If he hopes to kill him with his weak blow, then he underestimates the 40th level. Shihao thought that the really chopping blow almost did not inflict any damage to him. The man could not understand how he survived to his safe zone and received a 40th level on him, who had survived a 40-year level, a child dared to look down on. Shihao exclaimed that he should know how difficult it is to raise the level. Why was it so dull that he decided to attack Miss M.O.? The man replied that he knew nothing. He cannot even imagine how much they will give for her head. However, he knows quite a lot, more than ordinary people at the 4th level. Did he really think to pretend to be a worship of a fool? But with such weak attacks it still cannot be defeated. He advised using all his abilities to make it even more interesting. Shihao noticed that he received a 40th level outside the safe zone. They have a difference not only in levels. The real combat experience and the quality of the consumables are strikingly different in them. It turns out he has only 1 trick left to try to defeat him. I do not want to raise the question of my survival to the will of fate. But now there is no other way out, and he decided to try. The man thought that the little one had completely lost his mind. He noticed that the boy is defending well. I wonder how much it will last in this way. In any case, more than 3 seconds. To apply this skill near, Shihao spent almost all the CP. The man was unexpectedly surprised at the new tricks of the boy. He began to use detonation, the active protective ability of near battle. The future flame covers the target, reduces the strength of enemy objects, reducing their damage by 1 minute, the restoration time of 1 hour. The deputy head realized that it was too late to use ammunition. This boy deceived him. Apart from the strange debuff, he was not injured in any way, the man exclaimed, turning to the boy that this was not a place for children's games, but a place of real hostilities. he was tired of bearing with him. Shihao noticed that the damage from the shots increased. Will he be able to hold out for a minute? The amount of health of the owner fell below 10%. Protective talent for blooding for 20 seconds is activated. During this time, the outcome of the battle will be decided. The man exclaimed how the little one at all with the 4th level dared to challenge him. This is not even madness, but just cheating. And how could his machine gun break? All his equipment disappeared. It looks like Shi Chao guessed. The weapons of people like him are not different. He puts off repairs to the last, as you have to save money. The boy admitted that he was somewhat exciting. But in the end, his bet won. A simple treatment potion was used. 30% of CP was restored. The man exclaimed that even if he had broken equipment, he could fight even naked. Do not underestimate what he has accumulated all these years. There are enough things in the inventory to kill him at last. Shihao said that if he could kill him with his ammunition, he would have done it. So that nothing has changed here. However, now it has become much easier to kill him. The man asked him not to kill, he would not attack. He is just a worker who executes the order of his commander. The boy replied that then he would give him a chance, and he asked to open the safe in the car, a safe with treasures, a 40 level. He wanted to say a password to the guy. But Shihao said that he did not ask his password, but said to open it. The deputy head replied what he would do now. And I thought that it did not work out to spend it. Why is he so cunning? Shihao realized that the man pulled his time pretending to be the loser until the chapter was reinforcing. And then he will arrange him such that he will dream of death. And then the safe is open. The deputy head exclaimed that now he could let him go. Shihao apologized and said that this was impossible. It is too cautious by nature, and therefore necessarily gets rid of all potential risks. The man was completely on fire and called his chapter to the rescue. Shihao received 30,000 points of experience for murder. He received only 2,000 coins, and he noticed that his income is really very small. It is not surprising that this man does not have money for repairs. However, the keys to the dungeon are a very unexpected acquisition. It seems that the deputy chapter had to make it pretty. The boy decided so far to put the key on the side. A chest full of treasures is what is the main thing now. For the first time in his life, he opens this, so slightly excited. He was achieved by the first chest with treasures. The guy was eager to see what was inside. He received many coins, gunpowder, high explosive shells, and a lot of interesting things. He now even has an ancient magic crystal. As far as he remembers, this is a rare magic crystal from which you can get experience if it is absorbed. For him, this is just a gift of heaven. 10 ancient magic crystals were used. 100,000 experience points were received. He has 130,000 retained experience points. It is recommended to unlock another account to increase its strength. Xiaohao decided to first turn the Emperor of the Red Flame into a universal account for attack and defense. He decided to open the talent system of the Emperor of the Red Tribe. Its current level of protection is 1 star. He can spend 100,000 of experience points in order to raise the level of a ligament by 10 and get the opportunity to choose another talent. Shihao thought so many experience points for one talent are too much. How much is needed in order to open another account? You need experience points for unlocking a new account with the initial level of communication 100,000. It seems that this money will have to be spent anyway, and unlocking a new account will be much more profitable. The boy asked the system to unlock a new overlord account, and then there was a new unlocking account. The overlord account is unlocked. Crazy Max, a scientist from another world, his talent and a craving for inventions in the end, led to the destruction of his native world. Shihao was interested in how to relate to this. This is apparently not a combat account. In some sense, he is also a person standing at the top of the world. The boy decided to see how cool skills he has. Master Engineer, Master Alchemist, Master of Forging, Master of a Focused, Master Jeweler. He has no fixed abilities. Judging by all these names, it refers to the class of support, with a wide specialization and a variety of gameplay. Shihao asked the system to switch the account to Crazy Max. The system immediately switched the account of the Master Engineer. A small robot appeared in front of the guy. He exclaimed that many years had passed, and he was finally activated again. He began to inform the new owner that he was interdimensional artificial intelligence, created by the previous owner of the account. He can call him Vice. He will help to capture this world. Shihao replied that he was not interested in the conquest of the world. Weiss noticed that the owner is not crazy enough. The main feature of this account madness. It doesn't matter what he conceived. The more crazy he will be, the higher his strength will be. The guy got angry that the robot dares to teach him. Weiss replied that he was not daring. Shihao asked to explain the basic principles of this account in 3 sentences. The robot began to explain that the basic principle of analysis plus synthesis plus creation. Using the current specialization, a master engineer can decommission and combine objects related to engineering to create new and more powerful ones. Shihao thought that this account was more curious than he thought. The gameplay is directly related to madness. It is not so simple. Weiss explained to the owner that there are currently restrictions on objects that can be freely decomposed and combined. The guy asked which. Weiss replied that with the current level of communication, it is impossible to decompose objects higher than him by 1. Moreover, he needs to collect various drawings of inventions in order to create the desired objects and equipment. Shihao asked what the switching mechanism between the accounts. Are there any restrictions? You can freely switch between accounts except for the moments when it participates in battle. Nevertheless, the owner is recommended to carefully choose the time to switch records in order to avoid dangerous situations. Shihao decided that it was time to go on business. You can't make the girl wait too long. Meanwhile, the beauty Mo told the black tiger that he was not a timid dozen. He dared not only to invade the safe zone, but also to grab it. Does he know what happened to the last person who did the same? The man replied that they would not just dare to attack her. But if someone is behind them? The girl asked if it was Huan Jin. The commander of the mercenaries Black Tiger replied that it is. Moreover, they gave them a tier of Medusa Gorgon. Without it, they would not have coped with their personal bodyguards. Mom exclaimed that the clan Huanzheng sank to this. To take away from the Kanmo clan the right to the district from 23, they are ready for such meanness. Do they really think that they will kill her and overcome the Hanmo clan? How is it all naive? The Black Tiger replied that he has nothing to do with the heaps of their clans. Mercenaries are only interested in one and this money. Clan Huanzheng gave him 50 million for her murder. If she gives him 100 million, maybe he will let her go. The girl replied that she would never pay people like him, who do not know about honor, when doing business. The leader asked why she was talking like that, knowing that he would be angry. What is more important to her, money or life? He decided to give her another chance to give her an answer. Miss Mo laughed and said that it was not necessary. The Hanmo clan will never follow others, and moreover, it will allow to undermine its authority. And this will not change, even if she has to give life for this. The fact that she came to them this omission. But they should be joking if they think that her death will undermine the Hanmo clan. The guy took out a mum and exclaimed that now she would die, and let him get a reward for her head. Then an energy shield appeared suddenly. Miss Mo heard a familiar voice behind her. The guy said that although he was grateful for that case in the black market, they are slightly different things, so you need something more. If she wants him to save her, he needs a little 10 million. The black tiger flew in the air above the guy's head, asked how a 4th-level child dared to interfere with his plans. When the guy recaptured the attack, he was surprised that he has a good armor for his level. He hit with all his might, and he had reduced only 20% of his life. Shihao thought that he should be surprised. Only collided, and has already lost so much HP. At this pace, he will die after a couple of blows. The price of the error is too high. Mo exclaimed that even if he is quite capable, she should soberly assess the situation. This is all pointless. What is the point of dying for a beautiful act? She advised him to run away. She will die anyway. But why did not go to help others? The rest of the wars were surprised that with this energy shield, why he had not yet scattered under their blows. Shihao asked Miss Mo not to worry like that. If she dies, the one whom he will receive a reward. So, let it be sure that he will not let her die. The girl thought that this little one was surprisingly mercantile. Although, what is she surprised if he even dared to go to the black market? Meanwhile, the shield recovered at 100. This does not happen in the 4th level. The black tiger asked where the guy got such a rare object. Obviously, he hides his real level. He is also like that and why he hides his strength. Shihao replied that the chapter had not only a high level, but he himself was quite cautious. It is not surprising that he is a local commander. Compared to the Barnes in his subordination, he is much smarter. Shihao took advantage of the abilities of the engineer master and united 3 energy shields into one. The commander asked if that explosion on the street was also his hand. How he did it. Then he decided to use powerful grenades. The black tiger exclaimed that he overestimated him. At first, he was worried that he could be a small obstacle. But now, if he decided to bet on these powerful grenades, Otherwise, he can at least now give up and just wait for death. The black tiger was in the web. This web pulled their HP. They could not escape. He never heard of this. Shihao explained that this is an unusual grenade. This is a new type that he created under the name of a sticky bomb. He asked if the sticky was enough. As the commander, he said, he asks not to think that these children's tricks will work on him. He explained that the real battle is not a place for games. He asked for permission to show him to a man in battles. Show what a real battle is. Shihao realized that a low-level item did not affect it in any way. Then he has only one way out to overcome the enemy. His strength and speed have increased. At such a pace, the black tiger will definitely break his defense. 2 more of his blows, and he is a corpse. He cannot even drink the restoration potion. You can't panic. To defeat him, he must adhere to the plan. The commander exclaimed that the boy was moving too slowly. It is so big. Is it really so difficult to get on it? He asked the boy to show his aces in his hands. Otherwise, he would kill him. He will die from contact with his armor of thunder electricity. Shihao began to use a bomb of a fiery dragon. It's time to solve the outcome of the battle. The black tiger exclaimed that it was useless. If you could get into it with such low-level spells, then it would be at the 45th level. Miss Emo asked the guy to stop and rather run away. He will definitely die at this pace. Shihao said that he was not going to run away. He went so far that it is no longer possible to retreat, and he will repeat again that he had not lost yet. The most interesting thing is just beginning. The black tiger realized that judging by him, he was still full of enthusiasm. The commander noticed that in his crown reception there is too little damage. He probably came here to have fun, but the time for fun has passed. He does not have time to nurse with him. He decided to deliver the last blow, allowing him to die quickly. Shihao began to use the hellish grenade launcher, but he was definitely redone. As the kid was able to kill his deputy, this cannot be. Shihao asked not to be surprised at such obvious things. But now this is not called a hell of a grenade launcher, a guillotine of moaning. Didn't he say that he had too low damage? What he thinks about this machine gun tower made of epic weapons. The black tiger noticed that the energy shield could not withstand such a shelling. Usually during training, Big Gun could devote him to his gun. The rate of fire and damage from bullets, the worst of all the infinity of the store. Moreover, this boy was somehow able to modify the gun, and now she shoots on her own. Even if the boy is harmless, it is better to deal with this thing first, otherwise he risks losing a bunch of horsepower. But the boy's remained only one blow. Although he was surprised by this trick, to turn a firearm into a motionless target complete stupidity. He only in vain spent an epic object, although it doesn't matter. After his death, everything will go to him, and it is time for children to die. The guy replied that nothing was afraid. He could well cut the machine gun. After all, the most interesting here. Xiao Chao in his hands appeared in a kuti saturated with poison. With some chance, the fatal damage to humanoid creatures can cause fatal damage. The lower the health of the target, the higher the chance of the operation. The main character hit the black tiger in the back. Scarlet streams of blood flowed from his mouth, but even the attack from the back cannot cause such huge damage, because the difference in levels is too high. On this, Ikuti should definitely have some effects or enchanting. The seal of the protection of the black tiger worked. So his Ikuti has the effect of deadly damage. It gives one-time immunity to obtain fatal damage and restores 30% of health. The commander became nervous because he laid out so much money for the seal of protection, and some child simply spent it like that. Shihao exclaimed that there was no need to blame him. After all, he also spent many of his objects. He, too, is very sorry for them. The black tiger thought that with the support of the Huanzhen clan, this would be a light task. I did not think that in the end someone would jump out like him, and so many things would break. He exclaimed that he would kill him and Miss M.O. He will definitely receive his money. The action of passive abilities of blood constraining has ended. Shihao system advised to restore health as soon as possible to avoid death. The commander said that he had underestimated the boy. He did not expect a guy to hold on to his life as tightly as a cockroach. In order to avoid further problems, he will have to pull the ace from the sleeve. They all have to die. The commander injected some needle in his neck. It was the blood of the Ultralisk, an epic object. It can activate thunder armor, turning the owner into an Ultralisk with an improvement in all characteristics and abilities. The time of action is 5 minutes. After the end, the effect of the weakness for 30 days is applied. Shihao realized that this is how high-level battles look like, and the matter is not only in the tactics of the battle, but also the abilities of the enemy cannot be predicted, not to take into account something. and you will lose right there. The Black Tiger has so many rare items. Usually he devotes more time to stripping the dungeons, and in vain. To knock out this item, the commander had to clean the instant of the Latian County 56 times. I would never have thought that he would spend him on such a malls like him. The Black Tiger exclaimed that if he has some other tricks, then let him use them. It's time to end all this. Shi Hao replied that he had no more tricks. Did he not reflect his last mortal blow? The Black Tiger was very angry. Does the boy want to say that he was reincarnated in vain? He made him spend another subject in vain. Waving knives over the boy's head, he exclaimed that he would chop him into pieces. Shi Hao replied that you can still eat something, but talking like this is completely stupid. He did not force him and wants to repeat him. Is he really so sure that he can kill him? The commander exclaimed that this is impossible. How he was able to remove the petrification. His time could not go out yet. Shi Hao replied that this is all thanks to him. He was outside the door when he explained the principle of petroleum jelly, when he said that he had the eye of the jellyfish of Gorgon. He talked about the Huanzhen clan. The commander exclaimed that this could not be. To remove the petrification, you can use only a tear of the Gorgon jellyfish. Has he opened his chest with treasures? Shi Hao replied that of course he opened. However, he did not expect that the Black Tiger group would be so few things. The commander said that they worked so much to collect all this. Shi Hao explained that he should not worry about his condition now. Even if it is not he does, the Black Tiger is still a dead man. 260-level men who used power had a very strong power of the blow. Heels ran already on his back. Miss Mo asked, since he knew the way from the very beginning, why did not remove the petrification from the bodyguards at the very beginning? I would not have to fight to the end, bring the enemy to rabies and risk his life. The boy replied that at first he also thought about it, but since the victory was guaranteed, why not try his hand in the fight against a strong opponent? Shi Hao knows that you can't buy such a thing as experience in battle. Miss Mo said that she saw many people but never similar to him. Shi Hao said that now she met with this, so there is no gratitude. In addition, 10 million are also not enough. 500,000 should be added to this, as he won in the competition in Institute. She asked him not to worry. This is not such a large amount. She would not evade her payment. In the end, he is an ordinary person, greedy to money. The warriors asked Miss what to do with the commander. She replied that how useless he was on her. She told Shi Hao that he could finish him off and get experience and equipment. He immediately thanked the girl. The boy exclaimed that in this case he would not be shy and raised his weapon over the commander. The Black Tiger exclaimed that they were happy early. Outside of the safe zone, these monsters have already accumulated enough strength. A safe zone will sooner or later be destroyed by them. Xiao Hao asked Miss Mo what he had in mind by this. The girl replied that this is just a conspiracy theory that was squandered in the evil places of a safe zone, so do not worry. She asked if the guy wanted to join the combat detachment of their clan Mo. Thanks to his abilities and her salvation, he can already join. Shi Hao replied that if she did not mind, can he first tell him about the advantages, after which he would decide. She was surprised that he also needed to explain this. Does he still doubt the advantages of the Hanmo clan? Shi Hao explained that he had no doubt. He is simply very careful and reflects before making a decision. The warriors of Miss Mo said that she personally invited him was already a great honor. Therefore, you need to think carefully about what he says. The girl said that when Shi Chao saved her, he did not think about his position. She asked her warriors to go to see how other students are there and also get rid of the remnants of the mercenaries. Xiao Hao asked the warriors whether they can leave him the corpses of mercenaries. You can still get a reward. Miss Mo noticed that he loves money very much. And it's just fine. The boy asked what good was. He thought she condemned him for greed. Mo explained that at their time everyone wants a beautiful girl, money and strength, which comes from a desire to pass natural selection. How can she condemn this? In addition, people with a thirst for something have something in common. One wonderful quality. The kid asked what kind of quality it was. What exactly unites them? The girl explained that they are all thirsty and leads. She can quench her. Shi Hao thought that this woman was even more dangerous than he thought. Shi Hao decided that it was impossible to let her drive him by the nose. This is a direct path to defeat. Mo said that although his strength is small, he demonstrated his decent combat potential, so it is quite suitable for the reserve. Since he is interested in the specific advantages of joining the Mo clan to the combat detachment, does he object if she tells him? After their dimension has changed, although the old world has sunk into oblivion, The new structure of the universe brought a new future with it, and it is associated with the disclosure and cleansing of all kinds of dungeons. At their time, any wealthy clan has its own combat detachments in which they invest and support. All this is done only with one purpose: fight for the future hidden in the dungeons. And their combat detachment occupies a leading position among competitors, thanks to their own forces and financial support of the Hanmo clan. Having joined them, he will receive not only access to resources from the highest class dungeons, but also the right to access high priority. But more importantly, he will receive such a salary that he could not even dream of, as well as part of the profit from the instance that he cleared. The kid sparkled his eyes, and he asked if this was true. Miss Mo replied that she did not finish and asked not to interrupt. In this city, in addition to the center, there are 9 security zones, numbered from smaller to greater, the degree of probability of invasion of monsters. Outside of all these zones, there is a dangerous and unknown territory. The entire center is controlled by the state, and the rich live in the upper district, enjoying increased privileges and safety. If a low-class security zone is attacked, then the outcome will be quite obvious. There will be an extermination of all living things. This time she arrived at school in the 9th security zone in order to take away talented fighters in the reserve. But having looked at the situation here, it is easy to imagine chaos in other zones. Having joined the Mo clans of the clan, he will be able to leave this dangerous place, since members of the detachment and their families have the right to live in the first 3 zones. She noticed that the boy cares very much about family members. It was worth talking about their safety. His expression became more serious. Solving the problems of the detachment members, their equipment and medical support for them reached the highest level. The Hanmo clan makes individual sets of weapons and equipment, based on the level and abilities of each fighter in order to maximize their potential. In addition, their emergency medical team is always ready to provide the fastest and most modern medical support member of the team. Perhaps he does not understand why, if she describes the Hanmo clan and his combat detachment as so colorful, she so easily got hostages to these mercenaries. And there are 2 reasons for this. Firstly, she did not expect someone to dare to attack her forehead, that her completely improvised. And secondly, for the Hanmo clan, the life of a fighter is much more valuable than her. So, she has a rather low priority for salvation, and inside the clan it is worth mainly relying on her own strength. She asked what his answer would be. Shi Hao thought that the clan Hanmo is too rich and influential. Therefore he can only agree. After everything heard, his blood is seething with excitement. Not for the sake of himself, but for the sake of parents and sister, he must agree. Now he is too enthusiastic and cannot briskly reason. You cannot agree right now. First you need to cool slightly. He said that this is a very important step for him and his family, and he asked if he could give him Miss Mo time to think over everything. The girl replied that she gave him 3 days. He can contact her with a map. The boy exclaimed that it was no problem, but how 10 million for her salvation? Miss Mo explained that there are 20 million on this map. Is it enough for him? Shi Hao laughed and exclaimed that of course enough. He is more than satisfied. Then the director appeared on the threshold and asked for forgiveness for being late, for the fact that the school could not protect them with dignity. If she wants to punish the perpetrators, then let him punish only him. Students and teachers are not to blame for anything. The director thought it was over. Who knew that a detachment of mockers would burst into school? If Miss Mo has at least a scratch, he will drain school from the face of the earth. Mo asked the director to get up. It was she who should apologize. Not only did the entire incident begin because of her, the students and teachers were still confused. The director exclaimed that the whole school would not forget her kindness. She promised that the entire damage caused by the Hanmo clan would compensate him. Shi Hao noticed that she was very fair and does not spare money. Like the eldest daughter of the Mo clan, he begins to understand her better and better. The girl asked to finish today with false compliments. 3 days later, she will leave the 9th zone of security, so he should give her an answer to this time. The boy promised to give her an answer, and I thought that this proposal is too seductive. He needs to cool as soon as possible and think carefully about it. The director turned to Shi Hao. He said that he still could not believe that he managed to save Miss Mo for the whole school. The boy answered the director that he simply could not allow this villain to create arbitrariness here. He just followed what he taught him. While he is strong in spirit, everything is possible. The director exclaimed that how they were expected from a student who had previously been called ingenious, and even during these 3 years he could not raise the level, but continued to work hard. This time he provided an invaluable help to the school, so he will receive a special reward. The director asked the secretary to collect everyone as soon as possible. He must make a statement about today's event and express the gratitude of Shihao for courage. The boy asked to do this another day. Now the director needs to recover and calm down. There is no need for special gratitude. He just asked to give his awards for participating in the competition and receiving the first place. The director replied that if you add up a reward for 60,000 accumulated points in the dungeon and 50 prizes, then this will come out only 1,100,000. This money is too little to thank it. The director agreed that the next 3 days at the school would be a weekend, and asked the boy to use this time to relax. He thought that this young man is wonderful. Usually behaves very inconspicuously, but at the key moment, he is able to commit a heroic act. The director asked the secretary Van to contact the financial department so that they would prepare 2 million and that very thing. At the meeting, after 3 days, he will personally give it all Sheo chaos. Meanwhile, the kid went to the hospital. He asked his sister as his father. Father said that everything was fine with him. Mother asked him to protect his strength and lie down to rest. Shihao said that mother was right. He needs a lot of time to completely recover. Shihao thought that a long recovery period means that he would suffer for quite some time. Is there really no more effective way? The sister asked how today's competition and whether he had a high rating. The brother answered, then of course tall. At this time, a doctor entered the ward. He noticed that the whole family was assembled and asked for permission to introduce them to the chairman of their hospital, Mr. Zhang. Returning today and hearing about the incident, he immediately wanted to see them. It was the head physician of the Mashu hospital. The doctor said that he heard that they had a conflict with the director Fan, for which he asked for his apologies. The patient's health is above all, and he violated medical ethics. Shihao thanked for his attention and said that everything was in order. He should also apologize. He compensates for the medical expenses of the director Zhang. The head physician replied that now there are quite few young people who, like him, are ready to take responsibility. And he needs to leave. The boy asked the chairman to wait. And he asked about the situation with his father. Is there any faster way to cure him? The doctor replied that he knows a little about the problem of his father. To cure it as quickly as possible, you need to use the medicine, and this is a first-class antidote. It is in their hospital, but its cost is huge, as it is a potion of epic quality. Father exclaimed that he was fine. He just needs to relax for some time to get better completely. Shihao took out a card and said that since this medicine is in the hospital, the price does not matter. The head physician saw in his hands the great black map of the eldest daughter of the Mo clan. He was surprised and asked where he got such a thing. The boy replied that this card was given to him by Miss Mo from the Han Mo clan. Or there are some problems and you can't use it. The doctor exclaimed that he was joking. Of course they will accept the great black card. This card allows you to use services for free in all enterprises related to the Hanmo clan. The head physician asked his employee to go to the storage for one faster, not even for 3 antidotes, and then spend their expensive patients to the best VIP ward. Given the fact that their hospital is one of the subsidiaries of the Hanmo clan, it is like seeing a similar card that you personally see Miss Mo personally. He apologized for making them wait so long. These 3 first-class antidotes will give them an apology. Shihao was delighted with this steep card. His sister approached the kid and asked where he got the card of the eldest daughter of the Mo clan. What happened? Shihao replied that this is a long story, and he would tell her somehow later. Then the doctor ran to them and exclaimed that they had a problem. The first-class antidote from the repository, and not only, and a few more rare and expensive drugs, they all disappeared. They were very surprised. Shihao thought failure again. Finally, he was close to the desired. But the problem arose again. In such cases, usually someone from the inside. Surely this is one of their own. The head physician asked if they already recognized who took them the last. The doctor replied that he had just watched the recordings from the cameras. They were taken by Director Fan. The chairman exclaimed that even if he was not even waiting for mercy, he thought that in vain in the past he allowed him to work here. However, first of all, it is necessary to solve the problem with drugs. He asked everyone for forgiveness and said that this was their not prudence. But he will prescribe special treatment. Although it will not help instantly, it will greatly accelerate the process of recovery. Shihao said that everything is in order. Does he know where else you can buy a first-class antidote? The doctor replied that he is one of the special items, so he is quite valuable and rare. He can try good luck at the auction. And since he is a friend of Miss Mo, he can ask her directly. Because only the Hanmo clan supplies the high-class medicines of their hospital. Shihao thought this was the easiest way. but he had already received 20 million from it. If now it comes to ask for a medicine, it will look completely greedy. If the director of Fan wants to sell the medicine, he will certainly come to the black market. Shihao thanked the chairman for the anxiety. He asked to take care of his father well. The director was very sorry that he could not help him properly. He asked Hao Zhen to transfer this patient as quickly as possible to the VIP ward and allocate the best nurse to him. Shihao said that only thanks to Dr. Hao their family received timely medical care. He believes that specialists like him deserve higher positions. The chairman replied that he really noticed the professionalism and moral qualities of Dr. Hao. They just freed the place of the director. Dr. Hao was delighted and thanked the director, as well as Shihao. The boy asked not to thank him, since he deserved it. Shihao told his father to rest and allow him to get an antidote. Father asked him not to strain so much, since he cannot buy him. He is worried that his son may suffer. Mother said that although their family is not so rich, but they never did anything for the sake of money. My brother asked his brother how he could conquer Miss Mo in just one day. It is quite attractive. Shihao exclaimed that this was not what she thought about. Doesn't she know that he is not such a person? The sister decided that judging by his gaze, the brother was cunning. She urgently needs to find out what relations between him and Miss Mo. She decided to go to look for an antidote with her brother. But Shihao said that he would cope, and she should still relax in the hospital. She began to beg her brother to take her with her. She was so tired of sitting in the hospital. Besides, she wants to hear the details of the competition in the dungeon. The brother agreed, but said that she should promise him to obey and not run away anywhere. The sister replied that she understood him, and in general she was not a 3-year-old child. Father said that in the eyes of her parents, she would be a little girl until she got married. When they walked along the road with his brother, the sister told him that he not only won the competition, but also saved Miss Mo. She asked if 20 million too few. Shihao asked her to speak quieter. Far from her house, she does not have so much money, but this question is much deeper and more complicated. She asked why they go to the black market. Is it not safer to go to the auction? Shihao explained that although in the black market it is not so safe, there is much more things there. Besides, nothing threatens her with him. The boy thought that the second time everything was different. He became much stronger and besides, they have money. They were met by 3 guys. One of them asked, they don't know that this street is protected by 3. If they want to go through, you have to pay first. The sister asked her brother to go first, and she would remain and deal with them. One of the 3 guys asked the guy to look at himself and called him a 4th-level rag. A man hides behind a young girl. Shihao told Fei-Fei that she is better off to throw the habit of eagerly to break into battle. She is still quite weak. As he already said, she must leave a solution to conflicts to him. He will no longer allow her to suffer. The man said that he was lucky today. He would only take his money from him. I asked if they went to the black market. In this case, he must give them all his money and valuable things. Otherwise, they can't get alive. Shihao said that they were lucky today. He does not want to kill anyone in front of his sister. Therefore, if they want to live, the guy asked them to leave. The man put the bracelet on his hand and asked if he was banging at him now, or it seemed to him. Let's see what he can say after his fist on the head. A person with the 4th level should not so recklessly provoke the 10th. He was asked who dared to do this with him. How can he attack stealthily? And they still say something about dishonest attacks. Some guy scattered all 3, and the sister asked who this guy is. He turned around and said that he was just a stranger passing by. Shihao said that given the theater manner of his appearance, calling himself a simple passerby is somehow too modest. He asked who this guy is. The guy replied that for a man, the main thing is not appearance, but steepness. Therefore, do not worry about all this. The sister thought that now was not the time to be distracted by the guys. Calm is necessary. My brother was interested in what she was doing. The stranger said that the black market is not the most pleasant place. Since they are trying to get there, they must have a reason for this. Shihao replied that no one would risk his life in vain. The guy called them behind him. He just needs there and he knows the area well, so, with him they will be in full safety. The girl went to her brother and exclaimed that she wanted to tell him something. Free cheese happens only in the mousetrap. The fact that he helped them does not mean that he is a good person more than that they have so much money with him. The guy said that it was vigilant well, but he assures that he has no hidden motives. They are students of his school, and for him, as a graduate, they normally help the younger. Fei-Fei remembered that he was the legend of their school, Ani Chen. It is not surprising that he seemed familiar to her. The guy replied that he was really he. But he did not expect that after several years of its release, rumors would still walk about him. Shihao recalled that Ani-chen is the most brilliant student of the school. He was taken to a professional team already in the first year of study. He promised the 20th level. If he did not use any tricks at the same time, he can really be called a genius. Ani Chung said that they could be calm and asked to go rather. He would ensure their safety. Fei Fai told his brother that even if they from one school really think that he can be believed. Shihao replied that everything was fine. While following him, and then they look at the situation. At their time, one cannot completely trust anyone but your family. He has only the 30th level. If he really wants to voluntarily share his experience, he has no reason to refuse. Shihao told the older student that he heard that he was taken to a professional team as he entered school. A member of which team he is now. Ani replied that the Imperial Military Detachment of the clan Huanzheng. In fact, this is not so cool, since given its current level and ability, it is only in reserve, and not in the official team. Shihao thought that it was really fate, and he asked the system to switch the account to Crazy Max. The robot asked the owner what orders will be. The boy asked Weiss where he would get an object that would allow him to investigate the goal. Weiss asked what exactly he means by research. Checking the physical condition or X-ray. The boy thought that the robot has even such obscene objects. Weiss said that everything that he can do is limited only by his imagination. However, such a device cannot be made at its current level. Shihao had in mind a technique that could determine whether a person is lying, by the frequency of breathing or by heart rhythm, for example. Weiss replied that he can easily make such a simple thing. Well, to judge only by breathing or heartbeat of whether a person is lying or not unreliable. In order for the result to be accurately needed, the result of scanning in the location of the spectral and biomagnetic field of the target. Xiao Hao decided to conduct an experiment first, and asked his sister who is more beautiful, he or Ani Chen. She asked why he generally decided to ask such a strange question. In her eyes, he, her brother, is no doubt the most beautiful. The robot said that she was lying. Shihao turned to Ani-chan. Whether he heard about what happened at school yesterday. It seems that the clan Huanzheng put a hand to this. The guy turned around and said that he had not heard, and asked what happened there. Surely between school and clan Huanzheng. Weiss noticed that although he is suspicious, he was not lying. Then the boy said that nothing special. Some students say that talents will come to them soon. Ani-chan said he did not know. The selection of new people is usually engaged in their backup detachment. Shihao explained that these are probably just rumors. The guys at the entrance to the room were met by two men. They told Ani-chan that they had not seen each other for a long time, why he was busy. The boy replied that he was mainly busy with training. Today he specially took the day off to come here. The man said that in this case he should train even more diligently. He heard that competition for a place in the first composition is very high. And he asked the kid to go inside. Ani Chen thanked him and said that he would work as hard as possible in order to enter the first composition and not disappoint him. The guys saw Shichao and immediately recognized him. They blocked his path, but An Chen asked to wait because Shi Chaos is his friend and he vouching for him. Then they immediately began to call him their brother. And they offered him a cigarette, which was made with a high-class magic crystal. Ani-chan was surprised, but thought why they were treating this kid so well. Shihao answered the guys that he was not smoking a schoolboy. And it is quite strange that they are so hospitable, he is even puzzled. One of the guys said that the rumors of what he had done will quickly spread around the black market. He even refused Miss Emo to propose to immediately join the combat detachment. They offended him before, and are now asking not to keep evil on them. Shihao replied that he had already forgotten about that incident. He explained that he would hurry and asked to miss them soon. He was surprised that these rumors reached the black market so quickly. The guys immediately missed them inside. And they warned that there was a very slippery floor, so they advised them to go carefully. Shihao called Ani-chan after he froze in place. Fei Fai asked her brother in surprise, did Miss Mo invite him to join their combat detachment? Ani-chen thought they were joking, in order for the venerable Miss Mom to invite a student with the 4th level to join the detachment. If this is true, they should have enough close relationships. It seems to be worth paying more attention to this. They found themselves in the main hall of the black market. Fei Fei thought it was a vicious and dangerous place. Ani Chen explained that the black market is subject only to its laws and each present is obliged to comply with them. But now she sees only the outer shell. Shihao asked that to Ani-chan, as he thinks if he also has a hidden side. Ani Chen asked them to be quieter. Because here it is not worth talking about something outsider. You just need to spend money into free reign. Shi Hao thanked the guy for spending them here, and he said that they would not delay him anymore. Ani Chen replied that there was no gratitude, and he really needs to go about business. Shi Hao decided that since fate itself brought them, besides they are from one school, why not add each other as a friend? If he has any questions, he will always be able to contact him. He thanked the guy. And An Chen replied that there was no gratitude. Here you should not linger too long, yet this place is unsafe. Shi Hao realized that he attracted the attention of Ani Chan. Instincts tell him that although he had not lied before, but still very suspicious, so that he should be careful. Fei Fei noticed that this place is very large. Where can they find the medicine? The brother replied that he did not know yet. He thought that the last time he came here, he was immediately brought to his personal room. And I did not have to face such a situation. It seems he should ask someone. The boy felt as if someone was looking at him. Some woman drilled a hole in him. She said that for the first time she sees him, if he would buy her to drink. Fei Fei answered her that her brother had come here not to pick up. He is still a child. The girl exclaimed that she was very funny. She just joked at her brother, and asked not to be nervous like that. Isn't he the most Xiao? The boy asked how she knew his name. The girl asked not to be surprised so much. Rumors about him parted in their Hanmo clan. Her name is Siyu. She represents the Hanmo clan here. Weiss told his owner that she was not lying, but it exudes a pink-violet spectrum. What says that she really wants to seduce him? Shi Hao asked the robot not to speak too much. She wanted to take him to the personal room of the Hanmo clan. There he can do whatever he wants. The guy began to explain that he and his sister came to buy something. Shiyu replied that he could buy anything and asked to follow her. The guys around were surprised who this kid was, that Siyu herself rushed into his arms. He usually does not even dare to talk to her. The sister thought that she should protect her brother, and do not allow all slutty women to seduce him. The girl explained Shi Chao that here he could enjoy the highest VIP service, so that he did not want to. Fei Fei asked not to pester her brother. Shi Hao noticed in front of him the trade terminal of the black market, and thought that it was very convenient. The girl said that they are common in the black market, and all trade goes mainly on them. But the goods are quite ordinary. Their terminal has the highest level of access, which means if they have enough money, it can also be used to buy rare or even secret items. Shi Hao explained that he was not interested in something secret, and he would not have enough money to buy it. He stumbled upon a first-class antidote. The seller was the most beautiful brother fan in history. The number of items was 3 pieces. The piece price of the antidote is 600,000. Shi Hao thought that the director of Fan did not really run away, although all this seems somewhat suspicious. The position of director must be highly paid. Fei Fei told his brother that this medicine is so expensive, the price is simply sky-high. Siyu said that although this is a rare antidote, 100,000 per bottle is already a rather high price. Shi Hao said that here only he sells these medicines, so that an overestimation of the price is a reasonable move. He will certainly buy a medicine, but not in this method. He asked what he had to do if he wanted to negotiate trade. Siyu explained that it is necessary to write to the seller through the terminal, but not the fact that he would agree. He asked to help him make an application. The girl asked the system to help her contact the seller personally to discuss the details of the transaction. The seller refused a personal discussion. Shi Hao asked to send another message to the seller. If he agrees to trade personally, then he is ready to increase the price of 1 piece to 1,000,000, Fei Fei exclaimed. Then this is already a high price, why he raises it? Shi Hao asked his sister to calm down, because her brother is not a fool. He specifically raised the price to arouse his interest. If he agrees to a personal meeting to make a transaction, he is sure that he can get these 3 potions without spending a penny. The seller agreed to a personal meeting, and was already in a hurry to him. There was a voice. The man shouted that he needed to do something. His stomach hurts. He did not ask to let him go to the toilet. He asked not to dare to push him, because he is their client, Shi Hao said, turning to this man that he made him wait. The man was surprised how this kid could be in the VIP room of the Hanmo clan, but his disguise is perfect. Fei Fei told his brother that he looks very familiar. The man asked who they were. They never met if they did not think that their tricks would be able to knock down the price. If they want to make a purchase, then you need to hurry. He does not have so much time. Spend it on them. Shi Hao replied that he had not yet healed the wound, and he had already gone to trade. Do he really have to work so hard? He called him by name. The man could not understand how possible, because he was disguised. It is necessary to get out of here as soon as possible. Who knows that this kid will still be thrown away? The personalities of customers are not checked on the black market. The man said that this kid could not have 3 million. He has the right to refuse the transaction and asked him to let him go. Shihao exclaimed that he was seriously treating the deal. As for the 3 million, he can afford such a purchase and showed a card. Shiyu was surprised where he got a special Miss MOM card. No matter how much money is on this card, because even the amount of the available loan on the card is 50 million. The director wondered since when this child has similar relations with Miss MO. Where did he get that kind of money? Shihao said that he seemed to be mistaken. He thought that this man was the director of Fan, to whom he burned his hand. Initially, he proposed to increase the price in order to compensate for the damage caused. Fan exclaimed that he had already forgotten about it all. However, he was touched by the sincerity of the guy. Now, it makes no sense to hide yourself. He is really the director of Fan. He accepts his apologies and wants to hurry to complete the deal. Shihao agreed, but asked for a start to see the goods. The director immediately handed him an antidote. He explained that this antidote is a first class. It doesn't matter how serious poisoning will be enough for one ampule to remove it. He got them with great difficulty. The price of 1 million is already quite low. Shihao asked how he got such a medicine. What is it written on them? It seems like a hospital with a show. The director replied that it seemed to him and nothing on them. He thought that he worked well with ampules, how the information could remain. The boy explained that before that, he heard from the head of the hospital, as if someone had stolen 3 antidotes. Whether he accidentally stole them. The man asked not to substitute him. Then he abruptly refused the deal and exclaimed that the guy insulted him. He realized that Shihao knew the origin of the drugs in advance. When the guard stopped him, the man asked if they were going to break the rules and ask him about the origin of his goods. He asked them to get out and not stand in his way. Siyu said that the Kanmo clan has every right to investigate the alleged internal crimes, which has nothing to do with the rules of the black market. Whether he is guilty or not, they will find out after the investigation. The man exclaimed that they could check it as much as they want. Well, if he is offended, it will never leave it for anything. They will have to pay him 5 million compensation for moral damage. The girl thought, although this business falls under her jurisdiction, whether it is worth it. Shihao suddenly said that no problem. It all began because of him, so that in which case he himself will pay. The director now asked not to regret anything, and check. He is sure that the clan Hanmo will never substitute a good person because of such a trifle. Just let them prove his innocence. The director thought he had no reason to abandon their money. For a long time I replaced the ampule with the potion, so let them check as much as they want. Siyu noticed that this medicine has nothing to do with the Hanmo clan. Well, if this belongs to the company, then there will be a completely different conversation. Shihao saw that her right eye, if he was not mistaken, was a modified artificial eye. The girl filed a command to take this man into custody. He asked him to let him go, not to create nonsense, and he called the clan Hanmo shameless. They are ready to arrange a lynching without evidence. She asked if he was thinking that replacing the bottle would cover all the evidence. The Kanmo clan is not so easy to spend. The girl explained that some harmless components are added that, thus, allow the origin of the greens with special equipment. The director exclaimed that he was wrong and would return all the companies. But Siyu replied that it was already too late to admit everything. He was not lucky that he met her here. And those who steal something at the Hanmo clan remain only one. Shihao thought that if such a large clan set up a lynching in a safe zone, this may well undermine public peace. Feifei exclaimed that they could not take and kill him here and now. Shiyu explained that she did not want to stir hands. The director said that he was just dust. They simply lick up and pollute the atmosphere. Therefore he asked to raise his leg and let him go as he learned his lesson. The girl gave the team to throw him to eat monsters outside the safe zone. The director asked for an apology. It is better to let off steam on it. Even if they kill him, it is better than being outside the safe zone of one-on-one with monsters. The man prayed to let him go. This would not get away with them. Soon, all this safe zone will be captured by monsters, and they will all be eaten. They deserve to death. Only the old god can save humanity. Long years to the government of the old god. Shihao thought about his words. What kind of sect could be? He dumped too much information on them. He hears about this branch of religion for the first time. This cannot be an accident that he heard about the potential seizure of a safe zone even twice a day. It is worth paying attention to this just in case. Feifei asked his brother a question. Director Fan is related to the Hanmo clan, why he did not know what would happen in case of theft of the company's assets. It turns out he knew that soon the zone would be attacked by monsters. Therefore, I went to theft. Yu replied that this was an old theory that appeared at the same time with the construction of a safe zone. As a result, for 50 years of the 9th security zone there were no monsters attacks. As a result, there was more noise and fear. The level of protection here is not so high, but this does not mean that there is no way to defend itself. The construction site itself was chosen in a fairly calm area where you cannot worry about attacks, so do not worry in vain. Hao asked if they would give him just medicines. Yu replied that according to the rules, the Lost Clan's things belong to the one who found them, so this is him. How he is going to thank her. She saved him 3 million, doesn't he deserve any gratitude? The girl noticed that his heartbeat became more frequent. Surely he is nervous. He is completely inexperienced in such matters, she can teach him. Then, unexpectedly, the sister began to drag her brother and thanked the girl for helping them to save money. Fei exclaimed that her brother was too young, it was too much for him. The girl explained to her sister that she misunderstood. She talked about alcohol, and she asked to bring 2 glasses of 20 annual crazy passion. Hao plaholi that she saved him 3 million, so that he would treat any wine no matter how expensive it is. Well, can she drink so far? To tell more about the dark invasion of monsters. It is quite poorly lit in all the sources that he came across. She asked why a rare minute of rest during a pleasant pastime would be spent on this. Fei said that he was not interested, and it is time for him to return. They already have the medicine, so you need to do their parents. Hao answered his sister that he had not yet bought everything. In addition to the medicine, he planned to spend about 5 million on equipment for her. Well, since they saved 3 million, this budget can be increased by this amount. The sister was very happy. Did she really disgraced? Hao replied that everything was right. While he is here, their family will have more money. Now it is necessary that she has a good equipment and she could raise the level. Parents will have a reliable defender and he will be able to rush to the front line. Fei immediately ran to choose equipment. Although there are 3 more million, you cannot buy rash. Then a man called out to Yu and explained that she had to go. The girl told the guy that a secret auction would begin soon. She asked if he was interested in this. Hao replied that he had never heard about it. She began to explain that this is a monthly event in the black market. Getting there is not so simple. It is necessary to spend at least 20 million in cash to confirm your purchasing power. And the trade level in the black market should be a diamond VIP or higher. It sounds tempting, of course. It would be nice to even just look. Hao asked if he could be present if he has no money or in the level. Yu asked him not to worry, she could take him with her. Hao asked his sister in this case to stay in place and not run away anywhere. The sister was busy choosing equipment. The boy noticed that the love of shopping, a typical female line. The girl asked him not to worry. In a separate room, his sister would be in complete safety. Hao asked if this auction is really in a separate instance. Yu explained that such an important event will not be held on the black market in the most unsafe zone. The present place is located in the extremely protected territory, from where there are portals in 9 black markets and 9 in security zones. The Cian family is still included in the 10 most influential, so that it is not surprising that each zone has its own market. And so they went to this zone. Hao thought that although he planned to save money, now it makes no sense. He needs to prepare for a potential assault on a safe zone. He has 17 million left, of which he can spend only 15, which is a rather small amount for such an event. But he decided not to miss his chance. They put on some strange mantles. Yu explained that after a person gets into this space, he automatically has such a cloak, which allows to hide the personality. Hao realized that you can safely compete in prices, not being distracted by the individuals of each other. But this is really unexpected. This hall is huge. It can be seen that everything here was designed so that people spend more money. A really unique place, although the name is quite strange. She asked to stop staring around, but rather sits down, because the auction will begin now. Radisson Andrews greeted everyone at the auction of the Secret of Victoria. Today he will be their auctionist Victoria alone. The guy was surprised how a man could call Victoria. He asked his robot if he could advise him during an auction. Weiss replied that he would compare the data from the auction and his characteristics, and put an assessment from 1 to 5. He will not let the owner not be superfluous to spend. Hao noticed that it was very useful and asked if he could be anything else. Weiss replied that there is nothing more. Well, if he wants to unlock more skills, then it is necessary to increase the level of communication. Hao asked the robot not to worry about the level. They will then return to this issue. Weiss began to explain to the owner that a biomagnetic field was installed on the platform through which it is impossible to scan around 2 people. They met one of them recently. It was Ani Chen. Of course, with his status and financial resources, he does not have the right to participate in the auction. This guy seems to have an equally serious secret. The auctionist said that 10 valuable lots will be represented at today's auction. You need to find out who they will go. And so he introduced the first lot to others. It was an ancient magic crystal of the 7th level. Everyone around was surprised by the legendary ancient magical crystal, and even 70s. This magic crystal was obtained by a certain group of mercenaries that paid a high price for a dungeon of increased complexity. Its use gives a buff for increased gaining experience. The starting price is 1 million, the rate of rate by a minimum by 500,000. This crystal is no doubt a treasure. He advised not to miss the opportunity to increase the level literally doing nothing. Shi Yu asked Shi Chao if he wanted this crystal. She knows that he deliberately hides his level, but his real level in any case should be much lower than the 70, so this crystal may come in handy. Weiss appreciated this crystal at 2 stars, since for the real master, the most important are not experience points. It makes no sense to spend money in the condition of their limitation, on experience. Shi Hao agreed with the robot. Then someone offered 3 million from the crowd for him. The auctionist exclaimed that this master had set 3 million and asked if someone would increase. He said this amount 3 times, and began to congratulate the guy on the acquisition of an ancient magic crystal of 70s. Shi Hao did not know that Ani Chen was so rich. Obviously, he needs more experience to finally break out of the reserve and get into the official team if he does not pursue any other goal. We reported on the second lot, stopping the blood of the drink. After drinking it, the owner will not lose health for 30. This potion is extremely rare. In addition to the most famous properties of this potion, the time of action is for 30 seconds, which makes the product even more valuable. The starting price is 2 million. Weiss said that this useless potion cannot be appreciated above 1 star. He explained to the owner that he has a specialization of the alchemist master. You just need to unlock the recipe for the potion. Shi Hao realized that the master of alchemy is cool, so they have another opportunity to earn their condition. Meanwhile, the guest was congratulated at the number 11. He receives a blood-stopping blood for 4.5 million. And now their third lot, the most romantic subject in the world. It will allow you to steam freely in the sky this imperial air cloak. After activation, it will allow you to fly in the air at high speed. The duration is 5 minutes, the height is no more than 20 meters, the recovery time is 24 hours. Starting price is 3 million. Weiss told the owner that this is a useless toy, which is suitable only to let dust in the eyes. Only 1 star. Shi Hao wanted this subject, but the robot began to calm him down. He is too poor and cannot afford such an expensive toy. The boy agreed with him because he was going to buy things like weapons. Miss Yu raised a bet to 6 million, whether the rate will be higher. She noticed that he liked this thing very much, but he in cold blood suppressed his impulse. Life is short, so you should fight for what you like. So she decided to give him this. Weiss asked the owner to be careful. This woman has a dark purple radiation spectrum, which suggests that she wants to outwit it. The boy thanked her and said that he could not accept this gift. Today she has helped him many. He cannot deprive her of such a little joy. Shi Hao asked to hold this raincoat for him, and then, as he would have money, and he would buy him from her 8 million. The girl replied that she did not expect her best motivation to bring her 2 million. In fact, she wanted to give him this cloak so that he was in debt. This boy was too reasonable. The auction continued. This lot was slightly confused since its high password for use and good characteristics will become useful only for a small number of guests. This lot is an engineering drawing of an epic level. Shi Hao exclaimed that he had finally met what he was looking for. Drawing Steel Heart. The drawing can be used to create a humanoid mechanical robot that will fight on the side of the owner. It can also be transformed and improved. The initial price of this lot is 2 million. Shi Hao was very surprised at such a low price. Last month a rare drawing was sold for 8 million. Are the requirements for studying really so high? Probably afraid that no one will buy it. Everyone knows how difficult it is to become a master of an engineer. Over all these years, no more than 10 people have achieved this level of skill. Shi Hao realized that the title of an engineer master was surprisingly rare. Weiss explained that it is not enough just to spend a lot of money. You also need to have an exceptional mind and talent. Among all the titles, the master engineer is the last to receive even for Sheo. The boy exclaimed that then he was very lucky. He gained access to the most difficult to unlock the title immediately when activating the account. Siyu was sure that almost anyone would buy a drawing, so that they would miss him. Shi Hao replied that he was so cheap, why there are no people who wish to. She explained that at least a robot can be improved, but it is still suitable for supporting only one person. When using drawings of this level, you will have to spend intelligence points, which is not very profitable. Shi Hao thought that this should not be afraid. An indicator of intelligence of Crazy Max is maximum. If no one even dares to bargain, it has arrived to make a profitable acquisition. The auctionist noted that no one is daring to buy in just 2 million. He only wanted to say that since there are no interested ones, it's time to move to another lot. But Shi Hao asked him to wait. The guest with the number 30 relied 2 million. He thinks no one will bet anymore. The hall realized that there was such a fool who was ready to lower 2 million to buy waste paper. He really considers himself a master as an engineer. Loves to show off so much. CU told the guy that only a master of engineering can take advantage of this drawing. Even if he is going to resell it, the revenue from this is small. Shi Hao explained that there was no particular reason. He just liked him. In the end, which man does not dream of a fur? He thought that in fact they simply did not understand the true value of this drawing. Maybe for them he is useless. Well, for him, the purchase definitely fully justifies himself. And now they congratulated the guest on the purchase of a drawing at a start price of 2 million. Taking the guy's drawing, I thought it was just by the way. In addition to increasing his damage, he can protect his family in his absence. Ring of Luck improves the characteristics of the Steel Heart. How lucky he was today. He increased the starting level to 20. It's just wonderful. Then he will calmly cope with monsters like a clairvoyant demonic spider. Weiss told the owner that he slightly deviated from the initial idea. The starting level is not important, but the fact that the floor of the robot can be created independently. The boy exclaimed that in any case, everything turned out much better than he expected. After this lot, he was much more penetrated by interest in auctions. Shi Hao was very pleased with today's results. The battle shield from the skin of the dragon, it has a strong protective effect and reduces 30% damage. Starting price 7 million. Bloody blade from a fang of a dragon. When applying damage to the enemy, the effect of vampirism is 20. Starting price 10 million. The 7th lot that they will provide now is simply amazing. This is an extremely rare magic crystal of the appeal of animals. Starting price 10 million. Each price increase should be at least 1 million. Shi Hao thought it was an extremely useful thing and decided to put 11 million. He said that in this world there are many types of magical and demonic crystals. But for the first time he hears about magic crystals that can cause magical creatures. CU said that after the victory over the boss in the open world or in the dungeon, there is a small probability of a magic crystal transformed from his body. In this world, many unsolved secrets are lurking, but at the current level, it cannot touch them. In order to get to the top as soon as possible, he should accept Miss Mo's proposal about joining a combat detachment. He thought that in the eyes of Miss Shi, he looked like a frog, stuck at the bottom of the well, and he has to rely on others who could pull him out of the well so that he could see the blue sky. Who would have thought that he was such a successful frog and could get out of the well even with the help of only his own efforts? After fierce bidding, the final price of the sale of this lot was 50 million. Weiss told the owner that he did not even evaluate the lot, since the goods were very valuable, and during the trading, the price would definitely go beyond what he could spend. The auctionist said that for the next lot, he should make enough space, because it is a rather large example. And so he asked to allow me to present the instrument equipped with 2000 millimeters, perfectly suitable for the assault of dungeons. He presented an electromagnetic assault tank. It is necessary to use the magic crystal of electric energy to complete the charge that can launch a super electromagnetic gun with extremely powerful destructive power. Shi Hao heard about the assault on the dungeons. It seems he will learn a lot of new useful information today. With each new lot, it becomes more and more interesting. What to wait ahead? An electromagnetic assault tank easily destroys all living things in the dungeons of a 40 level and below. And even with assaults, the dungeon of 40s, 60s issues impressive damage and is an excellent help. Small and medium detachments will be able to storm the cities with its help. The starting price is 20 million. They will look at the number of raised hands. And they began to offer 22 million, then 28, after which 30 million. Shi Hao noticed that this is suitable only for storage of things. In addition, the words about the assault on cities sounded very cruelly and inhumanly. The assault is one of the types of team dungeons in this world. CU replied that there are also more cruel things, like the royal battle, biochemical wars. Shi Hao thought that the more dangerous the dungeon, the more expensive and better the rewards. He has only 2 options to join the best team or independently form the best team. It's too early to think about all this. The boy decided to better focus on what is happening here and now. Meanwhile, the guest number 3 congratulated on the acquisition of an electromagnetic assault tank for 88 million. The penultimate lot for today's meeting is the key to the hijacking dungeon. The starting price of 30 million. Everyone was surprised. Was it really the key to the legendary dungeon? Typically, the precious resources contained in this stowing dungeon are at least 500 million. So valuable. The guys in the hall were surprised why there are so few trading participants now. CU said the keys have a limited time of action. The reverse counting begins from the moment of purchase. If the strength is 0, the key will be damaged, and it will be impossible to enter the dungeon. Usually only the best teams will buy this type of key. Shi Hao asked the system to open a description of the key from the dungeon. After all, he has a 40-level key. The characteristics of the key from the dungeon of the 40 level. The system gave them to see them. Shi Hao realized that a new strength parameter was added, and a small rust appeared on the key surface. He needs to clean the inst before the key is broken. Well, where is this area with 87? For the key at the auction, 150 million were offered. No one else interrupted the bet and it was sold. Shi Hao thought that the key to the dungeon was sold for 150 million. It seems that it does not matter in which era. The ability to have money is very good. The auctionist told respected guests that even this time they crossed the line of 100 million this time. But this only increases interest in the climax. He asked not to miss their last lot for today. This is a legendary item. The Potion of Resurrection of Angry Spirits. Starting price 100 million. It has mystical power to resurrect dead people. It should be a dream. Really, the guys really saw the legendary Potion of Resurrection. One of the guys is ready to lay all his property. He is obliged to get this potion at all costs. Shiyu got angry with this family. Why did they not warn them that there would be a similar lot? The purchase of a potion at this price will definitely much exceed its powers. Shi Hao asked Vice if the master pharmacist could create a potion of resurrection. The robot replied that he could not. Things such as the potion of resurrection are not available for people to create at any level. Even after the start of the OL era, the ability to resurrect is still inaccessible. Even the best priest of this world is not able to understand the principle of operation of this ability. And having drunk the potion of the resurrection of angry spirits before death, even if you die in the battle, you can return to life. But there is a chance that as a side effect, you can turn into a bloodthirsty evil spirit, obsessed with murders. In the hall, they started talking that the price of resurrection is too high. The auctionist said that you should not worry. This condition will last only a month, after which you can again become a normal person. The saddest thing is that spending money will not stop the death of people. The guy cried out from the crowd that he needed this potion and he puts 150 million. Shi Hao thought that life is more important than money. Even if someone loves money like him, it is impossible to receive it, if already dead. But he first hears about angry evil spirits. There is no information about this. Most likely it is secret. The other guy offered 300 million. The bet reached 300 million. Shi Hao thought. Ani-chan is really just a spare in the team of the Huanzhong clan. The clone granted him the right to make purchases of several hundred million. What is he suspicious? An older student. Although now it all has nothing to do with him. You should not go with him in conflict. Let everything go peacefully. And then the guy was congratulated on the acquisition of a new purchase for 300 million. This is where the auction ends until next month. The next month, everyone awaits 10 valuable lots. Shi Hao thought this auction is a really interesting place. He must come again when he receives more money. Shi Hao asked Yunfei Bot whether she wanted to. Since it is time for them to go home, you cannot make parents wait long. The girl was surprised that her brother returned so quickly. And she asked me to wait a bit, because there is so much that I need to see. Xiao Hao thanked Miss Shi. He not only received a lot at this auction, but also began to better understand the real world. The girl asked not to thank her for finding out today. This is only the tip of the iceberg. If he really wants to know more about this world, joining the Mo clan team is the only chance. The boy gave his sister another half an hour, and he decided to see what was still being sold here. His desire to explore this world is limited to curiosity, and he does not want to do everything on his own. His family is more important for him, but he cannot entrust such an important matter to other people. He cannot rely on the Hanmo clan to such an extent. It is best to do this himself. This engineering drawing happened just by the way. The boy decided to look at him. The materials for the creation turned out to be unexpectedly easy to find. I had to spend 4 million on the black market. It remains only the most pleasant thing to collect everything together. The basic settings program are launched. It is necessary to follow the instructions to choose a configuration. Shi Hao thought that it was only worth going, but here it was already. They didn't even give time to prepare. Weiss asked the guy to relax. The task is not so complicated. The boy replied that although he himself really wants to choose a robot to a man, for the sake of steel and blood, but for some reason, he always hears an inexplicable voice that makes him choose a woman. It seems this sound comes from another measurement it is impossible to resist. The robot told the owner that he did not need to use such a ridiculous and illogical excuse to cover his own perversion. But in the end, the guy chose the female floor of the robot. He began to choose the main characteristics. There were 3 finished models in front of him. The boy exclaimed that this was an amazing drawing, the top of humanity. But he does not have much time to accurately configure the parameters. He decided to just choose something from the specified types. The main thing is that she has strong abilities. The owner chose the set, checking the level for creation. It was confirmed that the owner reached the Master of Engineering and has all the materials necessary for production. The Snow Queen is created. This was also provided by the system. Weiss told the owner that he was thinking too much about it. As a Master of Engineer, he should not worry himself over all the settings. During the creation of the system, I discovered unidentified interference. This signal was repeated several times. Shi Hao asked what kind of unknown interference it was. What the system means, could something really interfere? Then the problems were resolved. The system has returned to normal. The creation of the Snow Queen continued. Was the system too damaged from the outside? All this should have a reason, and it should be clearly investigated. The generation of the Snow Queen was completed. Weiss said that they finally finished. He was eager to look at the Snow Queen. Shi Hao exclaimed that he knew a little about this thanks to the school. There should have been a Snow Queen. But it turned out sweet lowly, apparently error with the type. Weiss explained that this should be due to recent problems during the creation. A girl appeared in front of him who apologized and asked if he was the owner. The boy replied that yes. Weiss noticed that in front of them is a well-mannered Lolya. The girl hugged the owner and exclaimed that she finally met him. He asked her not to cry. Is it not a reason for joy? And I thought that she was sweet and pretty. Interestingly, she has a 20th level. What abilities she possesses. This is certainly a reason for joy. The girl laughed a little to herself, and she thought that she was the most powerful robot in the whole Nebel of the 79 arena, finally revived. She continued to hug the boy. Then Robot Weiss thought something. The spectrum around this Loli ranges at a speed of 1,000 in a millisecond, showing abnormal black. Shi Hao replied that it doesn't matter. Anyway, she is too charming, albeit a little strange. Irina thought that it was clear that she could not see through this primitive human body. Well, why she? Empress Irina cannot scan this primitive mechanism. She decided first to use all this as a cover and find out more information, and then escape. And sooner or later, this primitive world will become her. Shi Hao told her that from today she will be called Nana. She will have to do what he tells her. The girl thought he was a low-grade carbon-based creature, but she answered him that of course she would do everything that the owner would say. She noticed that even his thinking is a low-level same deposit, which ultimately gives low efficiency. As an empress of a great and developed empire, where organisms are based on silicon, of course she can perform such primitive work as washing dishes. Fei noticed that the maid Nana is very sweet. But doesn't the brother think that it was too cruel to force such a cutie to wash the dishes? The girl's mother replied that she also liked Nana very much. But immediately after the arrival to shift her household chores, this is a little cruel. Shi Hao told her mother that she worked for most of her life. It's time for her to relax. In addition, Nana is a 20th level humanoid, or rather, bionic. This housework is not a problem for her. Then the mother calmed down. Fei exclaimed that they would be even more fun at home. She still collects clothes and puts on a shelf. Shi Hao asked Nana when to wash the dishes to clean him 2 apples and come to him. The girl thought that this man is stupid. After she gets rid of control of her body, first of all, she will kill him. 3 days later, at school. The director hoped that these days everyone had a good rest and moved away from the shock. 3 days ago, a terrorist attack occurred at school in order to harm Miss Mo from the Hanmo clan. It was a carefully planned high-level terrorist attack, and the level of security of their school was not enough to provide proper protection. If something happened to Miss Mo in the walls of the school, they would have been all dead. As a director, despair at that moment overwhelmed him. But at a critical moment, one person appeared and saved not only Miss M.O. and the whole school. The guys were surprised and asked who it was. After all the guards were 15th, and the leader is generally under the 50th level. This is probably someone from the Mo combat detachment, only they are capable of something so cool. But they heard that it was some kind of student. The director exclaimed that rumors should have already been among them. The student really saved them. And now the man began to welcome the savior of their school with hot applause. He asked Shi Hao to approach him to pick up his award. They spoke in the crowd. Did she really do it? Which cannot raise the level. Is it really true? The guys shouted that this could not be. The director hides the personality of this savior because he wants to use Xiao Hao to deceive them. The guys began to rebel and shout that if he really needed someone to replace, why not choose them? One of the guys exclaimed that he was better than Shi Hao from all sides. Luo Feng suddenly grabbed this guy by the breasts and asked how he could slander his boss. When the boss fought with a strong enemy, he sat with wet pants. The guys spoke again. Was it really the truth of Xiao? Although the director said so, they could not believe in any way. It is not so important who saved the school. This is just an announcement of the name before verbal gratitude. The girl in the crowd thought that the guy really saved everyone. Why they did not want to believe it. He is so strong and so beautiful. The director asked if they did not believe his words. Shi Hao asked the director not to worry. After all, people want to believe only in what they see with their own eyes. Question an incomprehensible normal reaction. It doesn't matter whether they believe in this or not. He asked not to postpone the award because of this trifle. The guys were surprised how he was able to maintain composure in such a situation. He was awarded 101 additional score, so that he continued in the same spirit. They asked the director rather to say their speech and let them go. The director said that the 9th zone is not so rich in comparison with the rest. But those who have done a lot for the school will receive a decent reward. A lot of money was taken to the stage. The guys were shocked by what they saw. The director said that these 2 million are only a small part of the reward. A real reward is a map of the monuments of the old world. Everyone was surprised even more, because this is a very valuable thing. Xiao Hao is already sweating. The same treasure of the school, usually you can't look at it. Does he really want to give it to him? The director said that although all of them had to hear about her, today he will tell in more detail. This card was created by the greatest of the graduates of their school, the legendary hunter for the treasures of Mu Wei. He embodies the spirit of their school to go forward and explore the unknown. Treasure hunters are quite famous for people who are very strong and easily ready to risk their lives. They explore wild dungeons and monuments of the old world, and then sell coordinates to large groups and clans. And Mu Wei, as one of the greatest researchers of the era of the Earth OL, disinterestedly pursued the goal of establishing a true map of the world. He drew a map of dungeons and relics of 2,000 kilometers around a safe zone. Shi Hao heard about this, as well as that in the end he went too far into an unknown area, that it is simply impossible to prove the correctness of the card. So that there are a lot of different disputes around her. Faced with mockery and insults in the world, Mu Wei just smiled. But as his former classmate and follower, he always believes in him, his courage and research spirit. He will never forget the day when he handed over the card in his hands and disappeared in the desert outside the safe zone. Therefore, regardless of whether the content of this card corresponds to the truth or it is false, he asked Shi Chao to accept it. Maybe for him this is just a reward. Well, he sees in this heritage. In a guy, he sees the same courage. That is why he gives him this treasure and hopes that he will live up to his expectations and even surpass Mu Wei. Shi Hao asked the director not to worry and said that he would not let him down. Then suddenly everything began to shake around. The guys screamed, not understanding what was happening. It was like an earthquake. The guys pointed a finger at the ceiling. The collapse began. The director exclaimed that urgent evacuation of all students in underground asylum was needed. Teachers above the 15th level need to prepare for the attack. Shi Hao thought, the two were really right. Why right now? Also in a place as a student town. The monster will appear soon. Teachers were asked to try to win the time to evacuate students. How could this be done? The monster was surprised that they are going to win the time. A huge hunter Kaban exclaimed that it was too late. The guys were surprised why the creature of the 15th level had such power. The boar replied that they were fighting and surviving in the desert, so their elite level abilities. He asked for garbage, not to dare to compare his level with their own. The guy who lay on the floor asked the monster not to approach. His father is a powerful warrior. If he dares at least a finger to touch him, his father will tear him apart. The boar exclaimed that he would at first eat him, and there he would look. He is sure that the guy is very tasty. Meanwhile, Shihao was already in a hurry to help and tried to attack the monster. The guy thought his father came to his aid, but it was Shichao. He replied that he could not have such a shitty son. If he does not want to die, then the guy asked him to put him in the dungeon. The guy thanked Shichao for saving him. He had to doubt and ask to protect him. Xiao Hao looked sternly into his eyes and asked to dump more soon. The guy immediately jumped up and realized that he had 2 terrible gaze. He certainly does not joke. A little more, and he would have killed him. Shihao thought that the invasion was probably aimed at capturing the 9th zone, but the scale is somehow small. The monsters have the entire 15th level. As in the case of a clairvoyant demonic spider, it means that the minimum limit of the cosmic fault can be the 15th. What is the maximum then? Luo Feng and the girl next to him appeared unexpectedly. They held their weapons in their hands and told boss that they came to help him. Shihao said that another cosmic break, and it seems to be impossible to close it. It seems to be a wave of monsters of the 15th level. The boss asked Huan Tian to leave, as they would only interfere with him. They can help the teacher with the evacuation of students in asylum. Suddenly, a fiery rooster appeared from the sky. Shihao asked the guys not to leave. It's time for them to increase their level. The boy exclaimed that he was attacking first, and let them finish off. And he asked the girl to do this first. Luo Feng exclaimed that this boss is very strong. No need to show him where the crayfish winter. Huan Tian began to strike at the fiery rooster with her category. Shihao gave the command to go to clean the audience. He asked to kill all the monsters on the way in turn. The guys immediately obeyed him. The students have already attacked monsters. The man asked to keep up with them and follow the teacher in the shelter and as quickly as possible. Shihao outside noticed that everything was getting worse. It seems that the entire 9th zone was attacked. The theory of conspiracy has come true. A devilish buffet appeared and asked if they really thought they could escape. He promised Shichao that the guy would become his trophy, and he will kill him painlessly. Shihao asked the monster to shut up, since he had no time to listen to his nonsense. Despite the fact that in the morning he asked Yunfei to stay with his parents and Nana, he was still worried. He asked Luo Fan to finish off this buffalo. Then he gave the command the system to connect it with Yunfei. While the guy struggled with a buffalo, Shichao was waiting for the connection. Even experiencing his own, he cannot abandon teachers and classmates. You need to contact my sister and find out everything faster. But this subscriber was busy or is outside the network of the network. Shihao began to worry very much. Why he cannot contact his sister? Is she really in danger? A deserted wolf appeared. He exclaimed, looking at the man in front of him, that he was not an opponent even with the 15th level. He had to kill many in order to achieve his level. The teacher coughed and asked him not to compare people with monsters, and he will only touch students through his corpse. The monster raised his paw above the teacher's head and said that he would enjoy delicious human flesh and blood again. The teacher asked students to run away more, but then unexpectedly, someone chopped off the deserted wolf paw. The monster immediately howled and grabbed the severed part of the body. He began to growl and ask who dared to do it. Meanwhile, a guy ran up to him. He pushed the deserted wolf and asked him not to howl. Students immediately saw Xiao in front of them. He came to defend the teacher and students. He asked Teacher Chan to take students away from here. The guys were very surprised and realized that the guy is really worthy of the title of the defender of the academy. Shihao thought that it was necessary to rush until the monsters appeared again. The guys need to run to the shelter. You should not worry about the family now. Shichao is sure that Nana will be able to protect them. First, you need to get rid of the monsters at the academy, and then return home. The 15th level Cyclop appeared. He said that it seems like the idea, the use of several wanderers, was true. He heard that there are many low-level people in schools. Finally he got here. Today his dinner will be dense. Cyclops looked at Luo Feng and said that he was his turn today. Well, then the guy was cut by half. He began to scream how miserable bugs dared to kill him. Luo Feng immediately began to finish him with his sharp, huge axe. Cyclops exclaimed that he would return back to the cosmic gap. Luo Feng asked if he really thinks that he wanted to leave, wanted to come, and he would be happy here. Finally, Luo Feng raised his level to the 15th. With their boss, you can at least every day kill monsters and increase the level at crazy speed. Zhuantian wilted what was really so. She already has a 12th level, and all thanks to Shichao. Shihao asked the guys to relax and not to get involved in the upgrade of his accounts. In total, they killed approximately 20 monsters, and each was the 15th level. This is abnormal. Their level will not always be like that. The tiger was a jip of bones of the 16th level to approach them. As expected, the level increased. Then two outcomes are possible. The tiger began to approach them very quickly. He exclaimed that people would never hurry after him. He aimed at Huan Tian. The girl asked not to underestimate her. She is no longer a noob, which you can just kill. She had a good reaction. Shihao noticed that she learned to protect herself. The level of monsters is growing and increasing. Shichao thought that Nana could protect her parents and sister, and he has time to help teachers and classmates hide in the underground shelter. However, what is the limit of the level of the monsters? Perhaps the 50th or 60th. In the battle with the heads of the Black Tiger's mercenaries, he was able to cope with the difference of 20 levels. Well, what should he do if the difference will be more? Now it's better not to think about it when the time comes then, and we'll figure it out. Half an hour has already passed at first, and most teachers and students should be safe. But it is possible that there are students who need help. The boy decided to never give up and asked the system to use a keen look. The launch of the skill of a vigilant look began. The search for Alive in the academy is completed. The system asked to check the information. The guy realized that there were students and teachers who still need help. He decided to divide into two groups. He will go to the training office to save people there. He asked Luo Feng and Huan Tian to go to the cafeteria where 3 students were hiding. They need to help go down to the shelter. Luo Feng did not want to go down there with this girl. She also did not want to go with him. Xiao Hao clenched his fists and they immediately calmed down. Shi Hao said that although they increased their level, it is necessary to be careful. Teamwork is able to increase their possibilities. Shi Hao ran on business. Huan Tian asked him to protect himself. Luo Feng said you should not worry. Monsters of this level do not pose a threat to him. He asked the girl to go. He did not expect that one day he would have to cooperate with her. Huan Tian asked her to trust her, since she was no longer a noob. Luo Feng said that they themselves were not fully realized, were completely changed by the boss. He believes that Shi Chaos will be able to continue to lead them into the future. Shi Hao ran forward, and did not know what level the monsters are here, so he should prepare. The boy decided to enter the system, and he asked the system to show how many experience he has now. The system said that it has 21,000 points. It can unlock access to other accounts, or increase the connection with the Emperor of Red Flame. There was more than it seemed to him. This is all due to the fact that without anyone else he killed the mercenaries of the Black Tiger and other monsters. However, in the current situation, he does not have time to study the system of a new account. He asked the system to use experience points to increase communication with the Emperor of Red Flame. 20,000 experience points were spent on raising communication. The system congratulated the guy. Its level was increased by 10. The current level is 31. Shi Hao felt the power of the overwhelming of the whole body. His own level also rose to 1. But in the future, the significance of this panel will completely disappear. Already, many are able to falsify data on it. The owner has 1 talent score that requires distribution. The boy noticed that the talent of the attack is still not so good. Therefore, he asked the system to improve the talent of the attack. The system immediately accepted his desire. Additional attack skills are unlocked. After the accumulation of energy, the possibility of transformation in the first form opens. Each attack is filled with crushing force, lasting 180 seconds. Shi Hao asked, is this not the form of transformation that opens when the Emperor's system is first received? The system said that everything is true. Then the level of communication was low, and its attributes could not maintain a powerful shape of the red flame. Therefore, the system automatically blocked this skill. His level of communication has increased. Now this skill is available, and it is cool. He asked the system to switch to attack talent. He wanted to quickly finish with all this. Meanwhile, the teacher Jia brought students to the room. He noticed that monsters have the same level as his. He asked the students to calm down and just be next to him. The girl student clung to the teacher and cried. She was very scared. The teacher reassured her and explained that the teacher Jia would protect them. The teacher exclaimed that they have him and he will certainly protect them. Before he had time to finish, the monster immediately appeared. It was a killer's horse. She was 18th. The teacher did not expect the monsters will now be a higher level. Shi Hao noticed that with his renewed vigor, even hand-to-hand combat was very powerful, and it was very cool. The teacher was surprised to see a student of Shichao in front of her. He came to their aid again. The boy asked not to thank. There are no more monsters outside. He took care of this. He asked everyone to go down to the shelter. It is also necessary to look into the teacher's way along the way. Students also remained there. The teacher Jia asked if he was so cool, then why he would not go there himself, or he wants them to die. And who is he generally to send the teacher to death? The teacher began to reassure Jia, asked how he could say that at all. The teacher's duty to protect students even at the cost of their own life. In addition, the student of Shihao is very capable. They must listen to his words. Jia thought that he wanted to portray a hero who would save a beautiful lady. But all the attention to himself was taken by this caddy. At first he was ready to die without regrets. But now whether he really wants it. He is not going to die, because some kind of jerk said so. Shihao replied that if he wants to die, then let him die alone. Jia said that he became a teacher of the academy only for the sake of money. In another case, who would want to babysit with these children? He pushed everyone and said that he was not going to die with them. The teacher asked the guy not to pay attention to him. Leave the students in the teacher's office and she will take care of them. Shihao said that in this case, he could go to save other students with a calm heart. Despite the fact that in this place monsters cannot appear so soon, they still need to hurry. The students immediately obeyed the guy. They realized that what Huan Tian said was true. Shihao is so beautiful and strong. And here's the library building in front of us. This is the legendary college library. Shihao knew that this place to receive important people. Simple mortals have no access here. In addition, a seal is imposed on the door, and it is simply impossible to open it. There are two people who are able to open this door, is a secretary and director, who he saw inside with the help of a keen eye. Who could run here during the attack? The door was really not locked. Really, the director forgot to close it. The kid saw in front of him the treasures of dazzling beauty. There were a lot of them in front of him. Shihao decided that he should figure out what exactly happened here. He heard some kind of noise and saw a girl in front of him. The boy exclaimed that he did not expect to see such a beauty here. Everyone is busy with the salvation of life, and she had time to search for treasures. He asked if she could find what was sweet to her heart. The girl answered Shi Chao that even if this is the case, then it does not concern him. If he wants to live, then let him dump from here. Shihao asked if she was really that student of Shuehe who was nicknamed the Goddess of Cold. They say that she is not interested in anything. Well, how is it not true for it? This is not the place where ordinary students should come. She asked if he was following her. The boy exclaimed that he simply saw that there were still students who needed help, but apparently definitely not to her. She asked how he saw her location. It was hidden as he managed to find her. Shihao explained that he has his own methods. He will not go into details. Once, he managed to find out her secret, which is why she is so worried. The boy exclaimed that in this case he would go, and let her continue to do what she did. He just wants to recall that the level of monsters outside is becoming higher and advises her to take care of herself. Suddenly, a fierce gorilla of the 30th level appeared. She began to run up to the girl. Shihao noticed that the monsters have already reached the 30th level. This is very bad and much faster than he expected. The monster exclaimed that he felt the smell of a human woman. Did not expect to see such an amazing sight. Today is a special day for him. He asked where she was so in a hurry. With such attacks, she only makes him massage. He is very sorry that there is no time to play with her. The monster exclaimed that she would not leave him. Does she really think that this shell may prevent you from getting meat? Break the shell of his best skill. The monster exclaimed that she was very amazing and thin, suitable only as a snack. He opened his mouth to eat it, but not this time. His predecessors were just as self-confident, and they were all killed. Xiao Hao cut off the tongue of the gorilla and saved the girl. He caught her on the fly. And he said that there is nothing unusual in this. He asked her not to panic. This monster needs to be killed, since it is not in his style to run away. He came here in order to save people, and not show cowardice. When the girl said that the monster was the 30th level, Shi Chao asked to save energy for more important things. And do not worry about him. There is no reason to be afraid. He asked to leave the monster on him, and to run away as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the monster sat with a bloodied face. Is it possible that the 5th level was to have such power? The girl asked the guy if he also hides a real level. Shihao replied that it doesn't matter. He already said that everyone has their own secrets and asked her to leave soon. The monster shouted that he was painful, and they flirt and kissed here. He threatened to kill them. Shihao noticed that the monster is special in human relations. This is a ghost of the high IQ. Or there is someone who teaches them this. Surely this is a master of Qian. The monster was very surprised and growled. He is just a man, as a guy can know about Master Qian who really he is. Shihao replied that he was a simple guy who almost lost his family because of him. The monster exclaimed that the Master Qian would never let him go alive. Shihao noticed that when he killed him, very few experience points had accumulated. It seems due to the fact that the level of communication has increased. Now you need to kill elite monsters to get more experience points. Shihao asked the girl to hide in the underground shelter. The level of monsters is constantly increasing and it is not known what will happen next time. The girl replied that she had other plans. It is a pity that she had not paid attention to him before. These 3 years would be completely different. She told Xiao that they would still see. The boy thought, was there really something to regret? What she tried to say it. But so far not to her, there is a more important thing. You need to figure out where to put the local treasures. He simply cannot leave them. I decided to leave them for myself so that nothing would be lost. And then he would return to the director. Already all teachers and students had to have time to hide in the shelter. It's time for him to return. Suddenly the message came that the elite monster was approaching the underground refuge. It was a monster of 45th levels. Is it really a boss?